there's unbridled excitement surrounding the Tribe. And why not? The Indians own the best record in the American League with a power-pack lineup that leads the majors in homers and batting average. The once powerful White Sox open up the season defenseless. Their once proud pitching staff open up the season indifferent. But big troubles? No, the big hurt. This is a 4-game series where the Pale Hose can make some tracks back towards the Tribe. Memorial Day Baseball on ESPN. Next. Hello, everybody, and happy Memorial Day to you. Welcome to Jacobs Field for a sellout crowd to watch the Cleveland Indians and the Chicago White Sox, the so-called contenders in the American League Central. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and happy Memorial Day to those of you out there. And we know this is a very special Memorial Day for veterans that served in World War II. 50 years ago, the war ended, and for all of you out there and those that served in other wars, Korea, Vietnam, you don't really need to read the list. Thank you for allowing us to be in your homes. I'm part of a very, very special day for you. You made it special for us. Well, let me bring in a veteran left-hander, Jim Rooker, here to Cleveland. And we've given the superlatives the best record in the American League. Their batting average is over 300. The home runs lead everybody. If you get the feeling that the Indians have only just begun, Rook.
Well, you're right, Chris, and I believe it starts with pitching. That's what they've improved on. The addition of Oral Hershiser, a couple of others, and what it really does, it saves their bullpen. Last year, Mike Hargrove had to overextend some of those guys down there, and it really showed up. So you improve your starting pitching, you improve your bullpen.
Well, the Cleveland Indians certainly have improved a little on last year, but the Chicago White Sox, it's a different story. Last year, these were the 1 and 2 teams. When the season ended abruptly in August, the White Sox were declared the champs of the AL Central by 1 game over the Indians. So this year, the Tribe playing at 667, 18 and 9. The White Sox are 5 below 500, 7 out. Now, actually, their record is better than the way they play. But, Rook, I know it's only Memorial Day and it's a 4-game series. It's in May, but they have to be careful in here, don't they?
Well, they do. It's a very important series for Chicago, more important than it is for the Indians. Chicago lost some guys on that ball club last year that they just haven't been able to fill the holes. The good news for Gene Lamont is he does have time to turn it around, and this 4-game series would be the start for him.
The start for him would be for their outstanding core of starting pitchers, like the young man we're going to see this afternoon, Wilson Alvarez, to get going with consistency. Consistent? Well, Dennis Martinez has been that. He's 4-0 for the Tribe. Alvarez and Martinez, Memorial Day at Jacobs Field.
ESPN's Memorial Day Baseball is brought to you by Kelly Springfield, America's oldest.
Memorial Day to you, John, eh? El Presidente, Dennis Martinez and the Indians, the crowd, and we expect a sellout crowd here this afternoon. Gene Lamont's Chicago White Sox. What kind of lineup will he try and muster to bring down Martinez, which no one has done thus far this year? Well, here's the batting order for the White Sox. Major Lance Johnson leads off in center field. Tim Raines batting second at left field. Frank Thomas, the big hurt, back-to-back MVPs, is at first base. John, I am not a crook. Been with the White Sox for a week, already has him laughing. He's the DH. Robin Ventura Highway hitting 5th at third base. Mike Devereaux having a big year since coming over from Baltimore and right. Ray Durham, the young second baseman, the rookie, hitting 7th. Ron Miami Karkovice is the catcher. And Ozzie Guillen, always smiling at short, he is 9th. Dennis Martinez, the starter today, who's 4-0, 223 wins lifetime, Rook, and he's looking as good as he ever has, even though he turned 40 on May 14th.
Well, that's what's amazing to me, Chris. Dennis Martinez, you know, you talk about a fellow's age, they might lose something on their fastball or curveball. I don't think Martinez has. Everything on the breaking pitch seems to be as crisp as ever, and still nice zip and movement on his fastball.
Well, we will see what kind of movement he has. And behind the plate, with Alomar probably not back due to injury till late June or early July. But that won't matter as he starts off Lance Johnson with the ball. Tony Pena has become the personal caddy for Dennis Martinez. And since they hooked up on a regular basis midway through last season, Martinez is 9-2 with Pena behind the plate. Eddie Murray fields it. And there is one out. You saw Murray make a good play at first, which he has been known to do over his 19-year career. The Indians have some very good defensive players.
Yes, you know, you build a team strong up the middle. Tony Pena, you mentioned, filling in for Alomar. Good shortstop, the Gold Glove, Vizquel at short. Kenny Lofton can cover a lot of ground in center field. And Vizquel, working with Baerga, as good as Baerga is, Vizquel makes him even better.
And the Indians, some of the other names that you saw, we'll be seeing throughout the day. Tomey playing better defense at third. Laughlin, of course, not 100% right now in center field as Tim Raines shows a bunt but pulls it back. Martinez in there for a strike. Timmy Raines, it's been odd. It was 6 home runs for him in the 4.5 weeks of the season. His power numbers have come up, but actually his stolen base numbers, which he's better known for, have come down, at least for him, over the last few years.
Well, lately, I think he's one of those fellows now that he will pick his spots when he decides to run.
Martinez misses inside. It's 1-1. Tony Pena told me before the game, and we watched it, that I said, well, give me his succession of pitches here. He's thrown everything for a strike. You never know. I said, well, you know. He said, yeah, yes, I know. 5 or 6 different pitches for strikes, and we'll see what sort of assortment he shows us today. Drag bunts, a good one. Going to be a tough play for Baerga. Forget it. So Timmy Raines showed it on the first pitch, and then he just delivered a perfect bunt.
Well, who says bunting is a lost art? The people that can bunt usually do, and Tim Raines, this is back to the old days. You don't see too many drag bunts these days, but perfectly executed. And you notice when Raines started to move out of the box, Chris, he didn't hurry. He took his time because all he needs to do is get that ball by the pitcher, and at that point he can walk to first.
So with 1 out and a man aboard, and there is Tim Raines. Remember, we are looking at a potential American League record. The next stolen base will break the mark held in the American League of 32 by Willie Wilson. And one of my favorite nicknames as I go back into the archives, Julio, won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Of course, they got a way to go to get Vince Coleman at 50. But he and Brady Anderson each at 32 consecutive bases, and obviously that goes way back to last year. And speaking of going way back, here's a guy that can certainly do that. Frank Thomas, back-to-back MVPs. Slugging percentage this year already over 600. And the most amazing thing about Thomas, and we say this every time we watch him, John is 2-0, and Dennis will be very careful this year. For all the power he has, the guy is a .326 lifetime hitter. That's the scariest.
Amazing knowledge of the strike zone. That's what helps Frank Thomas. When he doesn't get over anxious, he waits and makes the pitcher come to him. Whether Martinez does that or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Dennis way outside, and the count is 3-0.
Now you watch Martinez. He will look at the umpire on occasion. He thought that was a strike, and it wasn't a bad pitch, Chris. But Frank Thomas, known for his perusal, if you will, of the strike zone, he will get more calls than perhaps a pitcher out there that is pretty much in control.
I can't imagine Dennis would put this one over the heart of the plate at 3-0.
No.
He did not, but that time he flunked the black of the plate on the outside, and it's 3-1.
Well, that's what makes Martinez so good. He will slice up that strike zone as well as anybody. And something to keep in mind that's already happening, I believe, in the game. Everybody talks about people hitting behind Frank Thomas. The guy hitting in front of him is very important as well. Raines gets on, you almost have to pitch to this guy, because if you pitch around him, now you're facing somebody up there with some bat potential that you have 2 possible runs on base. So, you know, sometimes that's overlooked. As important for Frank Thomas to do well is the guy in front of him to do well.
And as we'll get to, the guy behind him to do well, which has been one of the problems of the White Sox. But they don't have a problem when Thomas is up. It's not as if he's slumped this year, folks, is why the White Sox are 500. You saw his numbers. His really was 6. You know, he came up and only played 60 games in 1990, so he's still learning.
That's scary. And also scary is watching him take batting practice.
Way outside. Did you see the last ball he hit in batting practice?
Yeah.
The whole crowd oohed and ahed. It went to left center field about 25 rows up in the bleachers. Well, as Frank Thomas will do often, he has drawn a base on balls. 644 games going into the season. He'd walked 525 times. And
that was just his 34th. And here's, again, I think an interesting situation because Dennis Martinez has only walked 7. He's one of those pitchers starting early in the season that has been in total control. So he doesn't really want to walk Thomas, but he doesn't want to give in to him either.
Well, here is what first of all, one of the most enjoyable people in the game. Second of all, I'm growing my hair to pattern it after him this summer. Third of all, Kruk is a born hitter, not really a power hitter. And he himself, in talking to him for quite a while at the cage, of course, I just listened and laughed, says he's a long way from being really ready. Came to this team last Wednesday when they played the 7-hour, 39-minute doubleheader, which set a record for regular length 2 9-inning game doubleheader, and he said he was ready by the end of the game. It's as if he had a whole month to get ready in that afternoon at Comiskey. Not your classic baseball physique.
And he's really in the right spot in terms of being in the American League. New blood, if you will, new players, parks, cities, and that sort of thing. But he just, I don't think he can play defense anymore, Chris, and this is probably the best thing for him coming to a team like this.
0-2 pitch for Martinez, and Kruk reaches out and skies it to right center field. Manny Ramirez is over, and certainly not deep enough for even Raines to make a move on. So Martinez worked Kruk very well, got ahead of him 0-2, and then had him reach out and hit a lazy fly ball. So there is now 2 out with 2 on for Robin Ventura.
Well, you notice how off balance Kruk was with that swing, and Dennis Martinez again, he is so good at keeping hitters off balance with the variety of pitches. And when he gets to face a right-hander in a ball game, you'll see different angles as well. More over the top to the left-handers, but on some occasions against right-handed hitters, he'll drop down a little bit.
So this is Robin Ventura hitting at .273 with 4 home runs. Ventura began the game, and we were talking, began the season with that horrible series. He especially had, what, 6 errors first 10 games. I mean, you guys won a Gold Glove. And I said, was that you? It was someone else. It wasn't me at Fenway. He's always been a good hitter. Has his 58-game hitting streak at Oklahoma State College would clue you in on. You really have a team here, and I'm looking at Ventura and Frank Thomas on the base pass, and of course Raines is much older but came over a few years ago. And in the pitchers, except for McDowell, the guys that stayed, the Fernandezes, Alvarez, this is a team that the core you've gotten to know, the White Sox. They were close, they were close, they were close. They won in '93 in the West. They were ahead last year during the strike. Cleveland is almost pattern after what they've done. I mean, if the fans here in Cleveland know their names, oh sure, there's always a couple guys you pick up. But Ventura is one of the core of the White Sox team that were second to Oakland and the Twins in '90 and '91, and went backwards a little in '92, then broke through in '93 and got into the playoffs, which is what makes their start 5 below 500 a little more puzzling and concerning. It's not like this team is over the hill. The guys are still young. Count is 2-1 to Ventura, and Martinez will tell me Ventura is 27, Thomas is 27, etc. But the pitchers are in their 20s.
I still think for some players, Chris, that shortened spring training hurt in more ways than one. You think about for hitters, they just get ready. Defensively, it means an awful lot.
Ripped. This will be past Murray to right field. Manny Ramirez is going to come up throwing. Raines coming home. Throw will go into second base, and Ventura's 2-out single has given the White Sox a 1-0 lead.
Well, I'll be a little redundant here in mentioning the guy hitting in front of Frank Thomas is the important one. Raines gets on. They really don't want to pitch to Thomas that much, so he's walked. Raines in scoring position, and to me, this is the effect of it. Kruk didn't get it done, but Ventura did. So you do get the chance, because if Tim Raines continues to hit well, the ripple effect, it goes in both directions, Chris. You can't just think about that guy behind Frank Thomas. You better start thinking about the people in front of him as well.
So 1-0 White Sox, and Mike Devereaux, who is returning to his form of a couple of years ago. He had a big year with the Orioles. Devereaux hitting at .308.
I want to follow up on that spring training thought. Jay Bell, whom I know very well with the Pirates, had made a comment one day about going to spring training. You go down there, you get ready, you try to concentrate, but he said mentally getting ready for the season is a little bit tougher because you're in such a relaxed atmosphere. And I think in spring training this year, the players that did go down there, they just didn't have enough time to get everything done. And for guys like Ventura, maybe others around the league, sometimes it just takes them a little bit longer to get their concentration centered and let's say regrouped for the start of the season. That could be part of it, because you mentioned this guy is a Gold Glove third baseman. He's not the type of player that's going to make this many errors so early in the season.
1-1 pitch by Martinez outside to Devereaux. 2-1. 2 men on, 1 run in. 2 out here, top of the first. Happy Memorial Day to you, everyone. Glad you could join us here on ESPN. Chris Berman along with Jim Rooker at Jacobs Field in a sellout crowd, and this place will be jumping all summer long. One other thought on yours is that we'll do it after this pitch. 2-1 in there for a strike. Devereaux kind of disagreed. There are no fielding machines. You're off for 8.5 months. Oh yeah, you can play pepper. You can go to a batting machine, get your batting eye a little bit, or maybe even throw. But there are no fielding machines and live game opportunities, and I think that's part of why we've seen defense that first couple of weeks was brutal. Just a theory.
Well, you have to get game ready. No, you're right. It's not just a theory, it's fact.
Well, Dennis Martinez was right. He painted the outside corner for Devereaux and strands a pair. But Ventura's RBI single in the top of the first, giving the White Sox a 1-0 lead. The Tribe up when we return. A little chilly today, but boy, the Indians have been hot. They had the best record in the major leagues here at home last year, 35-16. They have 19 of the next 23 here at home. Here's their lineup. Kenny Lofton in center field. They're not playing at 100%. Can't run the way he would like. He leads off. Omar Vizquel, the shortstop, hitting second. Carlos, 1 up by land, 2 up by sea, 3 up by air guy. I think very fitting on Memorial Day. Hits third and plays second base. Albert Bell, the cleanup hitter in left field. Eddie Eat, Drink, and B. Murray. Just 33 hits shy of 3,000. Hitting fifth. Manny Ramirez hitting 400, leading the league in homers and batting average. Hitting sixth. Dave Winfield, the veteran, with a slow start. Will he unload today? Hitting seventh. Jim Thome, can you hear me? The third baseman hitting eighth. And Tony Jalapeno, the catcher, ninth. Facing the left-hander Wilson Alvarez, who has scuffled this season.
Well, he has. His last time out, probably his worst outing. In fact, his last 2 games, he has been overly wild, Chris. And coming out of the chute this year, he did pitch very well. And we talked about the errors. The defense, the first 2 or 3 games behind Alvarez, very poor. So he really hasn't pitched that poorly overall. It's a little misjudged by his numbers, but he has been a little wild his last 2 starts.
Well, here's a guy that won 16 straight games from August of '93, won Game 3 of the ALCS at Toronto, and then continued through late May of '94. 16 straight games. So anytime someone like that is 1 and 2 with an ERA of almost 5, you're concerned. Kenny Lofton, who has, I know, 287, most people would kill for that average, but Lofton is someone that's been playing under wraps. Leg problem. Says it's getting better. Of course, in baseball, you don't have time to rest it. He's out there every day, which he prefers. The stolen bases are way down. He's a guy who stole 60 last year, and he's stole 198 his first few years here in the league. There's the defense behind for Lofton. Ventura in on the grass at third base. Thomas close at first. We saw Raines lay one down. Lofton says, hey, you know, Tim, you're one of the best base stealers there is, but I think I'm faster than you. So he lay one down.
It's always a possibility on natural surface as well. You may take a shot at it.
Lofton will be 28 on Wednesday. Dale Ford and Vic Voltaggio and Brian O'Nora, Jim McKean are umpiring crew today. Already Alvarez working slowly. One thing the White Sox are not known for is playing baseball games like they're double parked outside the stadium. It took John Kruk that one doubleheader, and then yesterday, of course, 14-12. He said we had a 1-0 game that was 3.5 hours. Lofton rips it up the middle for a base hit.
One of the telltale signs for Wilson Alvarez is to be too conservative with his time out there, Chris. When he works quick, then he's really into his game. So if you see a lot of that, there's something wrong out there, whether he agrees with the pitch or just doesn't feel right. Now here's a guy that has a pretty good fastball upstairs, and Lofton able to fight it off. You talk about adjustments at the plate, and Lofton making one, getting his hands in just enough to fight the pitch off.
Laughlin getting some words from first base coach Davey Nelson, and Omar Vizquel will step in. Vizquel hitting at .228, of course, this year primarily for the way that he plays shortstop. But last year, Vizquel hit at .273. He's a lifetime .254 hitter. So he's not just a glove man, and were he that, he would not be in the number 2 spot with a lineup that hits like this. Ventura in looking for the bunt. Vizquel will take it for strikes as Dale Ford.
How many times have you heard the term hitting is infectious? And that's so true, especially with this ball club. Now, Vizquel, when he was with Seattle, his bat might have been a little bit more important. Not so here. And it's, in a sense, it's a little bit easier for him to hit. You put him in this spot in the lineup, the guys behind him, you're going to get more fastballs for Omar Vizquel.
Talk about infectious. They had what they would call a bad hitting series in Toronto. And they still win 2 out of 3 at the defending champs. As a club, the Indians are hitting at .294. White Sox aren't far behind at .284. That's third in the league. Cleveland leads the majors here. Skied. Ventura calls for it. Robin will make the play just on the grass at third base. So there's one out for Carlos Baerga.
Second baseman, number 9.
Well, the Chicago White Sox obviously playing poorly early in the season, but they're starting to catch the ball now. And you have in the outfield Raines, Johnson, Devereaux left to right. The 10 errors at third base by Ventura, but he is a Gold Glover. Just a bad start. Guillen, one of the best at shortstop. Durham is going to be a very good player at second. Thomas, known for his bat, we all know that. And Ron Karkovice, a very strong throwing catcher, handling Wilson Alvarez.
Are you running for office? That was very diplomatic. There's Robin. But as we pointed out, the errors are way down and back to the form that we've been more accustomed to. Here's Carlos Baerga, who is, they say that he's struggling. I like that. You know, they're also, he's struggling. Hadn't been hitting that well last week. .333.
Now, some people get
struggling
spoiled.
with what? I mean,
yeah.
A light drizzle now has begun. It's kind of a mist here at Cleveland. We are not right on Lake Erie anymore. That's inside and high. Not right on the lake. We're about a mile in. And that actually does affect. You say a mile, well, what difference does it make? You're near it. You're not like you're in Cincinnati, 5 hours away from the lake. But they say it does make a difference. That sometimes it gets right to the lake and the rain will avoid here. But we shall see. The fans brought their foul weather gear.
Well, this is a good day for an invasion.
Yeah. That foul weather gear we're grown accustomed to seeing in the dog pound in the Browns play. That is 1-0 to Baerga. First of a 4-game set between these two teams. Kenny with the 7 steals again. It's not as if that's poor. You do that over 5-6 months. It's going to be in the 40-45 range. But he obviously is not what he's been. And he says it's getting better, they like, and somebody just has to work to. He's never had that, even in his days when he started for Lute Olson and played point guard for Arizona. He never had any legs, so this is new to me. I'm a little ginger with him.
And you have to be careful. I mean, you have a whole year ahead of you. You don't want to risk an injury.
Especially the year that they may be having here in Cleveland. This could be something special here. And I think America will kind of catch on with the Indians. I mean, they haven't been in the World Series since '54. Haven't won one since '48. They've only won one. And then since the '50s, they've been horrible. Fly ball to right field. This could be tough. Devereaux coming on. It hangs up there enough for him. And there are 2 out. Well, as Albert Bell comes up, this is what we mean. They lead the American League and the majors, for that matter, in batting average. They lead the majors in home runs with 49. Runs a game over 6. Slugging percentage. The thing about the Indians, and of course Albert Bell being one of them with the 5 home runs, is that well, there's 6 guys, I think, on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 5 home runs or more already. One of them is sitting, Sorrento, who doesn't play against the lefties. Dave Winfield plays against the left-handers as the DH. So 6 guys at 5 and the 7th with 4.
Well, the flags are from third base out toward right center field. And Albert Bell, if you try to pitch him away too often, he's just going to go out there and rifle the ball to right center field. And as we've talked about this ballpark, last year Albert Bell hit .413 in this ballpark. And had the season continued, Chris, I find this an unbelievable number. Projected out last year in this ballpark, if they played the whole season, he would have, with his numbers, he would have hit 33 home runs and had 93 runs batted in, only at home. That doesn't count his road numbers.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Well, we did name the 19-foot wall there, the mini green monster in left field, the Bell Tower. That I think is something that he has tattooed and will continue to tattoo. And then there's the target. That's a little bit above the Bell Tower there and above the about 2,000 bleacher seats out in left field. We're right on top of the wall. Good view here. The bleachers are about 100 feet closer than they were at the old stadium.
This is a nice ballpark.
You know, I want to correct something. I made a mistake. I wasn't around then. I wasn't around in '48 either, but I forgot that the Tribe won the 1920 World Series. I'd forgotten that one, and I
You sure you weren't around?
I don't think so. In another life, I think I was around. I don't know as what. Count is 1-1 to Bell. Red Sox lead at 1-0. Bottom of the first loft and first with 2 out. Alvarez working him inside. Now, something that fans should keep an eye on today, and Mike Hargrove told us, Jim, so the wind is going from left to right. The ball will travel very well, and it does anyway here, to right center field. A guy like Bell, a guy like Manny Ramirez has outstanding power to right as well as to left. Now with a lefty Alvarez, you figure, well, wait a minute, he's a lefty, we're going to pull him. No, Alvarez is going to be working these guys outside. But Bell and Ramirez, not to mention a guy like Frank Thomas. Let's see how the ball flies to right center today. For your fans, keep an eye on that if you're with us here for the duration of the game.
Well, too often you try to get those big hitters out away, and more often you should try to get them out inside. That's where Karkovice is right now.
Well, this is ripped to left field, but it's right at Tim Raines. Almost handcuffed him. But Timmy makes the play, and Lofton is stranded. Bell hit it on the nose. But Raines made the play. We played 1 here at Jacobs Field. 1-0 White Sox. In Cleveland, Dennis Martinez and the Indians trailing the White Sox 1-0, but he got out of a jam in the first inning, Jim Rooker.
Well, he made that different angle type pitch. Mike Devereaux, the hitter, we mentioned Martinez will drop down a little bit against right-handers. Watch this pitch. Fastball. It starts off the plate, just off the edge, and then swings right back. More overhand with the left-handed hitters, but it's the righties. You'll see him drop down, throw a fastball, and on occasion a breaking ball.
Well, 40-year-old Dennis Martinez will deal to 23-year-old Ray Durham. I mentioned that Martinez had just turned this. Durham, the rookie second baseman. They had Joey Cora here last year. There's a name you don't often hear. Everybody talks about McDowell gone or Franco gone, but Cora was an important part of the ball club. And now Durham with Tommy in a little bit on the grass at third. Jazz to watch. Durham at 296 at AAA Nashville last year. He's from Charlotte. His senior year, you know he's a good athlete because his senior year at high school in the Charlotte area, he was a defensive back on the football team. He intercepted 14 passes. I don't care what level you're playing. 14 passes is in one football season is pretty good.
Somebody didn't do their scouting work. Wouldn't you stop throwing that?
I would think so, but if he's that good, maybe he covered every receiver. And Durham began the year and will be their leadoff hitter. That's the plan. But really struggled in that the #1 hole, and then Gene Lamont a couple weeks ago made the switch, dropped him down to 7 and moved Lance Johnson, who has hit #1 for some years, back up to the #1 hole. Durham has been a better hitter since then. He skies this one behind second. Baerga makes the play, and there's 1 out.
Well, in time, he'll get an idea of what a pitcher has and what they throw, and maybe even down in the order in the second inning, at least he gets a better look at the pitcher out there instead of leading off the game and taking that offer, which can really set the tone for your whole ball game. You have a bad first at bat, sometimes the residue that has is just, it takes you right through a horrible game.
Well, there is one out, and this will bring up Ron the Miami Carcavice, the catcher, swinging at the first pitch, ground ball, routine play by Vizquel to Murray. And very quickly 2 down for the White Sox, which will bring up Ozzie Guillen. The batting has not been the problem, though Carcavice hitting at 221, but then again, he's never been a big average guy. Here's a 209 batter hitting at 307. So, I mean, we said their batting average is 3rd best in the American League. That's not been the White Sox problem. Although Carco knows more about what the problem is because it's been more the hurler.
Well, yeah, that your hitting sometimes cannot overcome the mistakes that a pitching staff will make, and throw the defense in as well. It's just 2 against 1 all the time.
Ozzie shows bunt, pulls it back. It's a strike.
Chris, I am a firm believer in team chemistry, especially when you're talking about championship ball clubs. The teams that are lower division, they don't seem to have that right chemistry or leadership, if you will. And the White Sox seem to have that going. But when you miss a number 2, 4, and 6 hitter in your lineup, as the White Sox lost over last year, those are hard holes to fill. I mean, you can try to fill them, but trying to do everything, trying to make up all that ground is not easy.
Well, you mentioned a hole. Guillen found one past the diving Tomey, and the White Sox have a runner on with 2 out. And let's kick it over to John Saunders.
All right, Chris, happy Memorial Day to you and Jim and the Padres and the Mets. The Padres load up the bases against Mike Birkbeck, but Biff Roberts looks at this called 3rd strike to end the top of the 2nd. It's still scoreless. Chris and Jim.
All right, John, good to be with you here on Memorial Day. A respite from the pucks. Stanley Cup, that series between the team from the same city we're watching, the White Sox, that's Chicago-Detroit, an old-timer, original 6 series coming up this year on ESPN, not to mention the Jersey Turnpike series between the Devils and the Flyers. Great goaltending against the Legion of Doom. Stanley Cup semifinals coming up here on ESPN. John gets a breather. We glad to join us here for round ball. Lance Johnson, who grounded to Murray his first time up, is up with Guillen on, 2 out. Single by Ventura in the top of the 1st inning. The White Sox lead at 1-0. But Dennis Martinez, certainly when he came up, Jim, with the Orioles, was a big winner, and of course he pitched. He and Eddie Murray, I mean, this has been a reunion, 15 years happening. They were together and some great years for the Orioles. But Dennis had some problems, went to Montreal in '86 for Rene Gonzalez. And then after a couple years, established himself as the ace of the Expos staff, winning 15 and 16 and 14 in 3 consecutive years in the 90s. And he's continued to do that here in Cleveland. As Bell squeezes it, Johnson flies out, and Martinez has stranded a runner. We played an inning and a half. Field, Chris Berman along with Jim Rooker on Memorial Day. Glad you could join us here on ESPN. Eddie Eat, Drink, and Be Murray on his way to Cooperstown. Decided to stop and play a few years here in Cleveland, and boy, aren't the Indians fans glad they did. They count down every hit here at Jacobs Field. 33 for Eddie to get to 3,000. Putting him in select company, and there's more to it. As Eddie, the switch hitter, will pop it up. But I'll have to tell you that more the next time he comes up, as Ventura makes the play. Actually, he's just among a handful when he gets to 3,000 hits. Well, 3,000 hits and 400 homers. Aaron, Mays, Musial, Yastrzemski, Dave Winfield, Eddie Murray close. I don't know, last time I checked, that's a pretty good list.
You know, you go back a few years too, Chris, and everybody started around baseball, I should say, some of the experts thinking Eddie Murray has been on the downslide, but boy, the way he started this year, I think it amazed everybody that he's swinging the bat so well.
Well, Murray will sit, and as the youngster Manny Ramirez, who has opened up everyone's eyes, steps up, another future Hall of Famer, Dave Winfield, goes on deck. So you get Murray and Winfield, two guys who are fittingly right now tied at 18th on the all-time home run list with 463. And of course, Dave already as Ramirez grounds it to short. Guillen will fire it over to Thomas, and there's 2 out. Let's kick it over to John.
All right, Chris, speaking of the home run list, Bobby Bonilla going for home run number 7. Joey Hamilton serves this one up. It's a solo shot for Bobby Bo, his 7th of the year, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead. Chris and Jim.
All right, John, thank you. Dave Winfield steps up with 2 outs. Bobby Bo went deep. Dave has done it 463 times. He's started to say he's already a member of the 3,000 hit club. That 212 average is kind of stunning in some ways, but a big fellow like Winfield, maybe it's going to take him a while longer to get back into the swing of things. I talked with John Hart, and we talked with Mike Hargrove, Hart being the GM here, and Hargrove the manager. They're not concerned. I mean, yeah, they'd like to see him do better in the first 5 weeks, but they haven't seen anything. Oh boy, you can't get around this and this. People have written Dave off before after he came back from the 1-year layoff, the back injury, and the Yankees shipped him out to California. And he just rebounded out there and went on to the Twins and went on to the Blue Jays. And don't write this guy off, not with close to 3,100 hits and over 1,800 RBIs.
His track record is too good, but you're looking at a hitter that's only been up 33 times this year as well.
He's got, this is what you call a major league pop-up, which eventually comes down into the glove of Ozzie Guillen. A 1-2 training for Wilson Alvarez. We've played 2-1-0 White Sox. Welcome back to Cleveland, where a sellout crowd is watching the Indians trail the White Sox in the top of the 3rd inning. And as amazing as it might seem, Indians tell me they'll just be a little bit ahead of last year's attendance pace with the same amount of games after today's sellout. It sounds hard to believe because you know what kind of attendance they had last year, but it's true. Double dip here on the holiday for you on holiday, as they say north of the border. The Dodgers and the Phillies. Cleveland with the best record in the American League. The Phillies are the best record in baseball. Dodgers and Phillies from the vet at 7:30 Eastern Time with John and Joe. And then baseball tonight, immediately following that game. All the scores, all the highlights, and more analysis. What happened in baseball, you'll see it on Baseball Tonight. We get to, on Wednesday, see the Dodgers and the Phillies again, the first half of our double dip at 7:30 Wednesday as well. So a good look at the Indians and the Phillies this week here on ESPN, the 2 teams who are leading their respective leagues. That's what we try and do for you. Bring you the teams you want to see. Teams that you follow baseball, you have to know about. Dennis Martinez will start the 3rd inning facing 2-3-4. Tim Raines, Frank Thomas, John Kruk. Raines singled and scored on Robin Ventura's 2-out RBI single in the 1st inning. But Dennis has stranded 3 runners through 2 innings. Jim, he's pitched in and out of a couple of jams.
Well, see, now to me, that's a good point you bring up, Chris, because there are some pitchers that do pitch themselves into jams. The good ones pitch themselves out of jams. And, you know, Dennis Martinez, any starting pitcher, he's the one that sets the tone for the ball game. And you get out of early inning problems or early problems in a ball game, it really builds the confidence, and it kind of takes the confidence away from the hitting team, the team that you're putting down.
Dennis Martinez has won 223 games lifetime. He's only about 63 or 64, and I don't know whether he became number 64 or not, that have won that many. I mean, just 64 guys have won 220 games. Again, we're talking Winfield, Murray, Martinez. I mean, you've got a shelf full of hardware here in this locker room.
Yeah, you do, and you're talking about a pitcher that's blessed to a degree that he hasn't had the serious injuries because his career, I mean, it's 20 years, 20-plus years of pitching. That is an awful lot of wear and tear. And as we mentioned, Dennis Martinez throws a lot of breaking pitches, a lot of different angles. That you just can't go out and do that. You don't build a pitcher that can go and throw that many pitches from those angles and expect him to hold up over all those years. But he's been able to do it, and to me, it's just amazing.
Raines lays off way outside. Count is 2-2. You saw the sign of Rapid Robert Feller, of course, a Cleveland legend here. He won 266 games in his illustrious career with the Tribe. Of course, the no-hitters, the opening day no-hitter. 6 times Rapid Robert won 20 or more.
And he's still pitching.
Oh, I know. That's what's amazing. Still striking guys out. Here's Raines. He bunts his way out in the 1st. He clubs a single on his way on here in the third inning. So Timmy Raines is 2 for 2. And again, the man in front of Frank Thomas has done the job again, as you pointed out.
Well, here you go. Now, if you're Dennis Martinez, in the back of your mind, you know what happened that first time around. Pitchers are like elephants. It's kind of a cliche, but they don't forget. In fact, the ones that don't forget are the ones that
have big trunks.
Yeah, there you go. But some do have big trunks. But how is he going to approach Frank Thomas this time? Is he going to challenge him more often in the strike zone? This is the game within the game.
There is a challenge right there, back in the big hurt off the plate.
Well, and that's another part of Martinez's game. He is not afraid to pitch anybody inside. He's already hit 5 batters this year. And there's that tailing fastball. Now, that's one of those reminders or intentional pitches in terms of not hitting a guy, but just making him aware of the inside part of the plate, because for the most part, you would think Martinez is going to try to get Thomas out with a pitch away.
Thomas hits it to right field. Will it carry? Back it goes. Back. Gone. Will it carry? Who was I kidding? We told you the ball is going to jump out here to right center field. It was Frank Thomas that hit it. For Frank, home run number 8. And Raines aboard twice, scores twice. It's now 3-0 Pale Hose. And the ball has been thrown back on the field a la Wrigley.
Well, Pena was setting up away. They wanted the pitch away. Tony's more on the outside part of the plate, but if you go away from the big guy and you miss, you better get the pitch off the plate. Manny Ramirez just took a couple of steps. He knew it was yards, so just stood there and admired the rest of it. I wouldn't throw the ball back. I'll tell you right. Frank Thomas hits a home run ball to me. I'm keeping it.
Yeah. But I enjoy the spirit. It's a good citywide spirit here for the Indians, who now find their hometown team looking up at a 3-0 deficit as John Kruk steps up. He flew out to right field his first time up. Unceremoniously let go by the Philadelphia Phillies after putting in some great years with him. Certainly a cornerstone of that, which is still the defending National League championship team.
He was rather disappointed the way the Phillies treated him, so he decided to take his ball and go home and not play.
They will take that ball and throw it around the horn, because a little chopper, and Kruk will gimp back into the dugout, hoping for a better swing the next time. So there's one out here in the third. Yeah, he was, and he'll let you know what he thinks. So, you know, I just wish he just wanted a clue. And then all of a sudden it was winter. Now he doesn't have a hat.
Well, it was the big L word they always talk about, loyalty. Which side is it on, the player or the owners? I think it's both, one way or the other. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's none. And to me, it's an overused word, Chris. In most cases, it's a business proposition, whether it's a player having a problem with the ball club or vice versa. And in Kruk's defense, all he wanted to know, you're right, just tell me, where do I stand? Which direction are you going?
0-1 pitch to Robin Ventura, an RBI single in the first inning, and the count is 1-1.
I guess it tells you how secure some people are, though, because the White Sox tried to get Kruk early in the year. Ozzie Guillen called him, tried to talk him into coming to spring training, and John said, no, I don't want to play baseball anymore. He had a sour taste in his mouth, and I guess 3 weeks of yard work changed that.
Murray will toss it to Martinez, the old teammates in Baltimore, doing it here in Cleveland in '95. And there too, yeah, yard work, that was not his, although over here in the American League, by the time he gets home, even from day games, the sun will be down. Right? He won't have time to do any yard work.
Yeah, he wants to do different yard work with
right.
the bat and go out of the yard.
Kruk is, he's one of a kind. He's refreshing. He'll be good for this clubhouse, I think.
He will.
He's kind of a quiet, not a lot spoken in this clubhouse. Devereaux will foul it behind the plate, and Tony Pena will make the play. So Martinez settles down nicely after giving up a 2-run home run to that man, Frank Thomas. But the big hurt put a big hit on Dennis Martinez, and he took it right to the power alley. It was gone. The White Sox 3, the Tribe nothing. Well, I guess not everybody in northern Ohio is a Cleveland Indian fan. There's a White Sox fan here in Ohio. I would say that he is outnumbered today, but they will not give him a hard time in this thing. The folks out here in Cleveland are great fans. And root for another team, that's fine. They'll just tell you you're mistaken. They won't throw beer at you like other places that I know and have been.
He wouldn't do that in football season, I don't think.
No, not in the dog pound. That's right. I don't think he would do that in the bleachers at Fenway, among other places. We could name a list of about 6 or 8. Well, Wilson Alvarez has given up just 1 hit, the leadoff single to Ken Lofton in the game, and he's mowed down 6 in a row, as opposed to Martinez, who has given up 5 hits already and 3 runs. And Jim Thome with the Sox up high. Rusty Staub used to wear those socks, and it's Thome, Pena, and Lofton 8-9-1. Alvarez behind 3-0, and it's been control that's been his problem, Jim.
Well, that's the thing. Gene Lamont feels that his pitching staff will come around. In fact, in talking to him today, Gino was pretty confident about things and saying, I know we have the good arms. I know these fellows will get it together.
Well, there's their ranks, which speaks for itself. Almost put that up there again as Thome gets a walk. Let's take a quick look at it. And there's something else we want to show you here in a moment, but the ERA of almost 6 when the starters only go 5. I mean, you can't have that. And the walks, 5.5 a game or over that. You just can't have those numbers.
No, you can't. And when we mentioned also, Chris, there's Gene Lamont, and you know he's up off the bench. He sees Wilson Alvarez, who now has a 3-0 lead. He just got a 2-run homer from Frank Thomas, and what does he do? Walk the leadoff man. That will drive you absolutely cuckoo. But in his last 2 starts, Alvarez in 9 innings has walked 9 men, and bad numbers. He's not that kind of pitcher. He'll walk a few, but he has such good stuff to get out of jams, but he has to get the ball over the plate a little more consistent.
You know, one of his problems is how do you top his first start in White Sox uniform when you pitch a no-hitter in your second start in the bigs, your first start with the White Sox? Well, now I've done this already. Now what do I do?
Well, yeah, it is a tough act to follow.
But...
Well, and you know what happens? People see that and think, well, what is he going to do next? He's thrown a no-hitter, so he must be a can't-miss thing, but it doesn't always work out that way.
No. Here is Tony Pena, the veteran backstop, who was traded, a big trade in '87 from someone on the White Sox bench. A good friend of mine, Mike LaValliere. A big trade from Pittsburgh to St. Louis. God, 8 years ago already, that deal in '87 that sent. There's Spanky, or as I like to call him, Car 54 LaValliere.
Well, that happened, that trade, on April Fool's Day, and most of us thought that it was a joke, that it wasn't a real deal.
LaValliere, Andy Van Slyke, and Mike Dunn coming to Pittsburgh for Pena. Pena helped the Cardinals get to the World Series that very next year, but certainly after that, I think Pittsburgh certainly the great years Van Slyke put in.
Oh, yeah. And even Mike LaValliere, people didn't know that much about him. But we talked to Jim Fregosi the next day during spring training, and he said, wait till you see this guy. Defensively, he does everything you need. And Spanky's been able to hang in there. Can't run, doesn't hit with power, great situational hitter, but handles the pitching staff terrifically.
Think he and Croc will get along in that? Are they made for each other or what? The count
Bookends.
Bookends, literally. The count is 2-1 to Pena, and Alvarez drops that in there for a strike. It's 2-2. Cleveland trailing 3-0 here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Jim Thome, the leadoff walk. And Spanky and Croc. I just thought of that as we were talking about the two of them. Well, they're not going to run. They're not going to have fun either. They're both built like catchers. One of them is. Ripped to left field. Base hit by Pena. And that's what we're talking about, this lineup, which leads the majors in average. This is number 8 with a walk and number 9 with a base hit. And now comes the top of the order, and they get a rally going from the bottom of the order.
Right, you get into trouble, then you get in the danger zone. Tony does a nice job of staying with that breaking ball, and when Pena is struggling, he pulls off of everything, tries to pull the ball down the line, stayed back on that one, and gets the base hit. But that's another thing about the Indians. They have a great bench, and as we were talking during batting practice with Mike Hargrove, Chris, we asked him, where's the weakness on your ball club? And he stumped us for a couple of seconds there.
We stumped him. He couldn't come up with an answer, which is, I've never heard a manager do that. Even I think, you know, Casey Stengel, and when he managed those great Yankee teams, he said, wow, I could use, you know, of course, Casey.
Yeah, he could fake it for a while and then come up with something.
He did go around, as third base umpire Jim McKean says, for Kenny Lofton. Crowd didn't agree. Lofton didn't agree. But it's a strike.
By the way, Mike Hargrove eventually did say, I can always use another starting pitcher. And of course, they just sent Nagy down, or excuse me, Clark.
Don't scare him now.
No.
Hit to center field. Lance Johnson is there. And Tomey will go back to second base. Pena back to first. You know, we started to tell you, get back now to the White Sox for a moment, that Alvarez, Alex Fernandez, who really assumes the #1 role, I think, from McDowell, although Alvarez and Fernandez together, and Jason Raspberry Beret. Last year through May, Alvarez hadn't lost yet. Beret was 6-1. Alex's record was below 500, but his ERA was great. 19-7, these three guys. Through May, and we get a couple days to go, they're 4-8. And the best ERA is Alvarez is at 4.85. So you can see the difference. Jim Abbott's numbers are very similar to Jack McDowell's numbers the first 2 months of last year. So it's not that McDowell was good. That's been kind of a wash. It's these three guys that have not been the same. Oh, we forgot Harry's net. We would have had that one. But that's been the difference. And I don't, Jim, you know pitching a lot better than I do. I can't imagine this staff, all three of them struggling like this for the entire season. Can you?
Well, no. And part of pitching, consistency, control, confidence. They talk about the ABCs of pitching, and it actually is 3 C's. But control has been the thing. The walks have really been a huge headache for Gene Lamont. You can't explain it. You can't make your pitchers throw the ball over the plate. If they try to be too fine.
Vizquel with a fine bunt. Alvarez has to gun it to first base, and both runners move up, although they're with 2 outs.
Nice job by Alvarez. With this kind of hitting lineup, you can get caught off guard, not looking or being ready for the bunt. So he does a nice job by fielding his position. And I say an awful lot of times, when you turn the ball loose, you become an infielder. So be ready to help yourself out. Alvarez off the mound. Watch you pick it up barehanded. This ball is almost at a stop. So if you try to pick it up with your glove, you're going to get nothing but a feather and come up empty-handed. Pick it up with the bare hand. You're halfway to first base, and you just make a good throw. So he does a nice job.
So Vizquel will sit and hope that Baerga can pick up both runners. The Indians trail at 3-0. A base hit would cut it to 1. Alvarez wanted it on the outside corner and got it. Off speed, dropped it in. Baerga laid off.
I'll tell you the key to this inning so far, I think, is Kenny Lofton flying out. And Mike Hargrove has said part of Lofton's problems, he's hitting too many balls in the air instead of on the ground. So you have first and second, nobody out, and you make an out without moving runners. That hurts.
Broken batter to shortstop. Guillen to Thomas. And Wilson Alvarez wriggles free of Cleveland's first real rally of the afternoon. We've played a full 3 here at Jacobs Field. 3-0 Pale Hose. And welcome to the show. It's been a great show thus far this season here in Cleveland. A team that trailing the White Sox 3-0 today, but you know they've just played 9 home games thus far. The Cleveland Indians, who were 35-16 at home last year, have 19 of the next 23 here at home, where they really could open up some ground unless teams come in with pitching like we've seen from Wilson Alvarez thus far. 4th inning, 3-0 White Sox. Ray Durham, 23-year-old rookie second baseman, 7-8-9. Durham, Karkovice, and Guillen for the White Sox. And this is Alvarez coming off after giving up. First 2 guys got on against him, and he stranded him, Jim.
Well, we mentioned he had a 3-0 lead, walks the leadoff man, then a base hit, and your defense thinks, Chris, oh no, here we go again.
Right up through the wickets of Martinez, and Ray Durham is aboard with the 6th White Sox safety of the afternoon. So Dennis Martinez certainly has had better stuff this season.
Well, he's at this point in his career, and we've talked about how well he's hung in there, he still may give up a hit per inning, sometimes a little bit more than that, but Dennis Martinez works fast. Mike Hargrove talks about the defense always being ready because Martinez is around the strike zone. So he may be a fellow that gives up more base hits than you'd like, but what he does is keep the defense ready, and when that happens, more times than not, you'll see very good defensive plays made behind him.
Laid down by the number 8 batter, Karkovice, and the catcher is going to bunt his way on.
Wow.
Well, we've seen some good bunts here. Maybe the turf dampened a little bit by last night's rain. A little drizzle here. Kind of the type of greens that the golfers like on the Pro Tour. But Tomey was not expecting that at all, obviously.
Well, that's why Tomey playing so deep at third base. And why this isn't done more often surprises me. And it doesn't have to be a good bunt. You just saw getting the ball down in fair territory. And Tomey had so far to go. It wasn't that he was so much asleep. It's just he never expected Ron Karkovice to bunt the ball.
Good job by Karkovice. Really heads-up play.
That's smart baseball. I mean, there are times I don't want anybody to get insulted, but there's always been this saying in baseball, hitters are stupid. And at times they are, and sometimes pitchers are stupid as well. But that is the smarter type hitter that we just saw.
No, the only ones that are never stupid are announcers.
Well, I never hang a slider up here.
I never miss, do I? Yeah, don't. Here come the cards and letters now. Miss. I've hit more air over the years than somebody playing in the major leagues over 20 years. At any rate, moving right along, the White Sox have 2 on, and again, if Dennis Martinez in trouble. Murray charging from first, looking for another bunt, possibly from Guillen. Martinez missed it with a ball.
I'm not quite sure if Ozzie was using somewhat of a decoy there, because the pitch was a good strike. If you show bunt and the ball is there, you hate to get yourself in a hole by taking it. So there may have been a sign miss there. You have pretty good speed at second base in Ray Durham. You always have to be aware of Karkovice at first base.
Murray way in, as you can see on the grid, charging, and Ozzie will foul it up. And now he's down 0-2, and now we'll have to swing away. So there it is. He kind of gave that at bat, or at least thus far, the bunt part of the at bat away.
Yeah, you take a strike and bunt a ball. And I don't mean the baseball. The pitch was outside. And now you just wonder, will they stay with Ozzie and ask him to try and bunt again? Easy to move up the runner.
Now they have 1-1 up. We thought that was a strike. That was originally signaled a strike.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But all you have to do, I was saying, is get the ball down with such good speed at second base. You don't have to do much other than put the ball down in fair territory.
I guess it's 1-1, so now we'll see if he continues to bunt. Certainly the rotation play is on. But Durham back at first base, at second base. El Presidente, Dennis Martinez. Perfect game, El Perfecto. Dodger Stadium in 1991. Durham is bothering him.
Well, for a pitcher, this is where you do help your defense a little bit. If you're trying to put a play on and trying to keep that runner closer to second base, whether you step off, make a throw, anything like that, at least it holds the runner a little bit closer to the bag or gets him flat-footed. It might just give your defense a little help somewhere, whether you try to get the lead man at third or just get the routine out at first base. You might have to end up settling for that.
Had the rotation play on that time as what Guillen could have punched it through the left side. It was wide open as Vizquel was standing on second base and the ball was delivered.
Yeah, I think Ozzie a little bit upset with himself because the shortstop is in his view just in the right line, so he saw the shortstop breaking to second and got a pitch away that he could try to
could have plunked it right there with a guy. No, that was that's what we call a hole you could drive a truck through. Ground ball to first. Murray will take it himself, so it's the same as a bunt. Runners at second and third with 1 out. Let's bunt it over to John.
All right, Chris, we're going to try exactly the same play, only this time without the technical difficulties. The Twins and the Brewers, Scott Leyes out to left field. Derek May is back. It's off his glove and drops in there. The relay coming in as Leyes takes off. Round second going into third. The throw gets away from Valentin, and Leyes trots in to score. Right now, the lead is to the Minnesota Twins, 3-1. Back to Chris and Jim.
You know, John, I don't want you to take it personally, but I kind of like the band version better, the instrumental version. Only kidding, big guy. Top of the order, Lance Johnson is up. With runners at second and third, and the White Sox looking to pad that 3-0 lead against Dennis Martinez, who has not been sharp today. He's given up 7 base hits already, and we're here in the top of the 4th inning. Johnson, one of those guys, an unheralded guys we were talking about, like Frank Thomas, like Robin Ventura, who's been with this team on the rise up. When first Jeff Torborg was here managing.
Well, you always have the stars, but the supporting cast just as important.
Torborg managed through 91, and then Gene Lamont took over, Jim Leland's right-hand man. In 92, they were 10 above 500, but finished second to Oakland. Well, actually, that year they were third, I believe. In 93, of course, they won the division at 94 and 68. Lost to the Blue Jays in 6 in the ALCS. Last year won the truncated season by a game over the Indians. Lance did not chase that one outside. The count is 2-1. Lance Johnson, born in Ohio, downstate in Cincinnati. Years of age. Played the entire year last year in the outfield without an error. Swings and misses that one. It's 2-2.
Well, that's doing something for Johnson, because he's not a play it safe kind of outfielder. He goes after everything.
Right. Of course, he's led the league in triples the last 4 years. No one's ever led their league in triples for 4 straight seasons. The triple will go just fine for Gene Lamont's game plan at this point. So to single. Inside, backed him off. Crowd wanted it, but it was inside.
I think Dennis wanted it as well.
Look, tough strike zone, you think?
Well, watch how the ball swings back. Pena's setting up on the inside corner. The ball swing back. But I think when you see a little movement like Pena, Tony had to lean a little bit to his right. There are times if you can just hold that glove out there and bring the ball back to you, you'll be able to steal a strike along the way. I think the umpire sees so much movement there, he just wasn't going to give the pitch.
Hit to Murray, he'll come home. Pena sweeps it. Out! Nice job by the Indians infield as a contact play. Durham with the wheels as soon as it hit. He's home.
Well, you take the gamble with that speed. Watch Pena with his left foot. He puts it out in front of home plate. The runner has to go around the foot. No chance to get to the plate. That's just something that you do as a catcher. You take away part of home plate. That's a great job by Tony.
So good defense by some guys who have played some good defense for years. Murray and Pena. Now there are 2 out. Karkovice at third. And Tim Raines is up. Raines is 2 for 2. Scored 2 runs. But again, this could be another. He stranded 2 in the first, 1 in the second. Of course, gave up the 2-run homer to Thomas in the third. And again, I get a guy throwing out the plate. You get a runner at third. This could be another keep it in until my best hitting lineup in baseball gets a few more whacks or Alvarez tires.
Well, this could be one of those most important parts of the ball game with Frank Thomas on deck. Again, we talk about the importance of hitting in front of Thomas, getting him those extra at-bats. And Tim Raines, perfect so far today. You know, games like this, Chris, and I've become more of an American League fan in the last year and a half. Exciting baseball. I think when you look around the American League, there are so many more mashers over here as opposed to the National League. And of course the DH is all part of that. And Kruk made an interesting comment, I think, to us during batting practice. He says, no wonder these guys knock in 120, 30 runs. They get to bat 7 times a game.
Right, that's right. He was great. Boy, I wish we just rolled on 20 minutes of it. An afternoon with John Kruk.
And they need to make a highlight film of Kruk, and all you have to do is follow him around for about an hour or 2.
He's a natural.
Yeah, he doesn't need a script. Just being himself is enough.
And he's not trying to do this. I mean, this is not a guy who was auditioning to take over for Leno or Letterman. I mean, he's just refreshing. Tell you what, the Rains backed off, and that pitch didn't end up that far away from the strike zone.
Well, Dennis Martinez is so good at pitching inside. And Tim Raines is the type of hitter. I have seen him dive into the ball, Chris, and hit a low outside fastball over the wall down the left field line. So that's how you equalize. Look how far off the plate Raines is. But when he starts to hit, he is stepping more towards shortstop.
Here goes the runner Johnson. The ball gets by, and Karkovice will come home. And Johnson will go all the way to third base. So he just kept going. So the defense, which saved a run, now costs a run.
Well, you wonder if it's going to be a pass ball or a wild pitch. It's a breaking ball, and Pena tries to backhand the ball. They may give a wild pitch, but Tony has to make that play. All you have to do is reach out and catch it. And I think so often when you see low pitches, it kind of takes the official scorer off the hook if he sees anything like that and will give a wild pitch. But that's more of a pass ball to my mind.
I think they did call it a pass ball. Stolen base for Johnson, and then the pass ball allows him to go to third and obviously allows Karkovice to score. So that's a big run. And this one, he bounced and it hit him, I believe, and if it did not, another run scores. It did not hit him. And it's 5-0. Boy, Dennis Martinez and Tony Pena, this magical duo, all of a sudden cannot get their signal straight.
Well, and I don't want to overstate this, but I think Dennis Martinez is trying to throw the all-time exceptional pitch to Tim Raines because he doesn't want to pitch to Frank Thomas. Again, the effect that Raines has on the pitcher before Frank Thomas even gets to the plate, that ripple effect in the other direction. Martinez has better control than that. We've seen that. Going into this game, only seven walks, but he's thrown a wild pitch.
Well, he's getting Raines out finally. But a pass ball and a wild pitch after a play at the plate saves a run, and the Indians are in a Dickens of an inning for Tony Pena, the best of times and the worst of times. The play at the plate and the pass ball, then the wild pitch, and all of a sudden 2 runs are home, and Pena and the Indians are staring at a 5-0 deficit here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Indians have amassed only 2 hits through 3 innings off Wilson Alvarez. They have 4, 5, 6. Albert Bell, Eddie Murray, Manny Ramirez up. Albert, the latest craze here in Cleveland is the Albert Bell bar, the candy bars, which fittingly, as he comes up, how often do you see it? A guy makes a good play in the field, he leads off. How often do you see it? Albert Bell leads off. The Indians PR staff just handed out a bunch of Albert Bell bars. So
timing. In life, it's always timing.
Quickly 2-0 start to Albert Bell. The Indians, of course, who can hit him in bunches and score him in bunches, lead the majors with 49 home runs. They'll have to use some long ball to make those youngsters happy. I tell you, everybody in town has the Indians hat. Bell skies it, took a big rip, but skies it. It could be trouble. Lance Johnson coming in, Durham going out. Johnson makes the play. And there is 1 out. But, you know, we talked about this before here, Jim, in Cleveland. It's, you know, 2 years ago and all those other years, think of the difference of knowing you're going to play in front of 40,000 or 37,000 as opposed to 70,000 empty seats. And I don't care what kind of fans you are, you weren't going to fill that on a regular basis. But still, through the years, we talked about the fact that since the 50s, you know, the Indians as a franchise have been doormats. From 1960 on, it's 35 years, 7 winning seasons in 35 years, just 7. So when they had a season like last year, these youngsters don't know all about 35 years of frustration. The youngsters we just saw, and their fathers and their mothers and their grandfathers. Boy, I mean, this team, not only are they good, but they could be good for a while. And we have a new park, and we like coming downtown. Boy, you had all that up. You could have one heck of a summer here.
Well, and you have to really appreciate the perception of their general manager signing the young players as they did. They're going to be here for a while, and in today's market, what bargains they got and the young nucleus of a ball club. You mentioned that old ballpark. I'll tell you, it's been said so many times, I won't repeat the slogan that's put on that ballpark, but playing there myself, it was just awful. You hated to go to that ballpark and try and play a game.
Eddie Murray skies it to Durham behind second base. Let's sky it over to John Saunders.
All right, Chris, Colorado and St. Louis. John Frascatore on the mound facing Andres Galarraga, and the Big Cat finds the gap out in right center field. The steal comes around to score, and the Rockies are on the board against St. Louis. We'll keep you updated. Back to Chris and Jim.
Frascatore pitching to Galarraga. Boy, those are some great names for Scrabble. Here is Manny Ramirez. Because he's scissored between Murray and Winfield, we just chose to speak of past rather than future. What was Mike Hargrove telling us? That he just stops everything and just watches him take batting practice.
His approach for a young hitter is so good in terms of getting in the batter's box, starting by hitting the ball the other way, then working the ball around to center, working the ball to left field, almost as if you have a pro golfer, the way he'll fade, hit a ball, and hook a ball. That's Ramirez's approach to hitting. He is so thoughtful and has matured so quickly as a hitter. Charlie Manuel, the hitting instructor, is amazed at what this youngster has been able to do, and he is strong. When you have as much power to right field as you do pulling the ball to left field, that's saying something, and that's what Charlie Manuel said about this kid. Excuse me, about this kid.
Well, Manny Ramirez grew up in Washington Heights, not very far from Yankee Stadium, and he's already made that his personal place to hit. He's had a pair of 2 home run games at Yankee Stadium. Broken back to left field. And Johnson leaps in front of Tim Raines, makes it look nice. And a 1-2-3 inning again for Wilson Alvarez. He's had a couple of them. And so is Frank Thomas, swinging at the first pitch and nicely hitting it foul, so we get a chance to talk about it. Of course, hit a long home run on his last time up to right center field with a big hurt. Home run number 8. RBIs number 24 and 25 on the season for Frank Thomas, of course. The last 38 home runs last year, 41 and 93, 24 and 92, 32 and 91. And you add to that the way that he also hits the doubles and is such a good hitter. With the count 0-2 on Frank. Martinez just misses it. That you need to play 1,000 games, and he's only played 600 odd games. But right now, Frank Thomas, if he continues the slugging pace, will be 6th all time. These are the only 5 guys to be over 600. And this is Ruth, Williams, Garrett, Fox, and Greenberg. Joe DiMaggio is 6th, but below where Frank is right now, 593. Again, you need 1,000 games, so we're talking a couple years down the road, but wow.
And as you said earlier, Chris, this is a guy that's still learning. So there's a chance that he's going to get better. And you notice that strike zone again. You see the last 2 pitches. Very close, but showing some discipline, not chasing a bad pitch.
Skies this one. Way back goes Baerga. Coming in as Ramirez, and Baerga will make the play. And Frank Thomas is retired for the first time today. Walked and homered, and now he is retired.
Well, I thought Gene Lamont made a very interesting comment about Frank Thomas as we talk about Chris Sabo being here, Julio Franco gone, Sabo gone now as well, and now Kruk hitting behind Thomas. He said, you know, it doesn't really matter who bats behind this guy. You can't protect him because they're going to pitch around and walk him anyway. But
Well,
the key to the whole thing is when you had Julio Franco, that's why he had 98 RBIs last year. Also 20 home runs, and he had never hit more than 14 in his career. Sabo didn't do the job, so here's the guy behind Thomas that can pick up the slack. Kruk, as you mentioned, a born hitter. He should, if they continue to give the free passes to Thomas and intentional walks, Kruk should be able to rake the ball and make up the difference.
Well, he ought to be seeing a lot of pitches, that's for sure.
Oh, sure.
Kruk thus far has struggled. A little weakly to right field, and grounded to first. Count is 2-1. Truck, who did not grow up far from here in West Virginia. Charleston, West Virginia. 10th season in the majors.
Truck was a little upset years ago. He wasn't drafted by the Pirates, wanted to play in Pittsburgh, but the Pirates said he couldn't run very well.
Well, you think, I don't know how many of those John is going to leg out as Murray flips to Martinez very quickly. The Western Conference Finals in the National Hockey League, an original 6 matchup, a North Division matchup. The Chicago Blackhawks catching fire, sweeping Vancouver against a team that's played the best thus far of anyone in the NHL, the Detroit Red Wings, who made sure that the Sharks were gone before they even thought about upset. The Blackhawks and the Red Wings, and let the Octopi fly in Detroit. That's Thursday night at 7:30, 4:30 on the West Coast. And we're back now for the Blackhawks. Dennis Savard playing inspired hockey for the Blackhawks. He was a shadow in Tampa Bay this year, and Dennis Savard returned, been a star in the playoffs. It's like the salad days. You're talking about 2 teams. Red Wings haven't won the Stanley Cup since '55, and the Blackhawks, I believe, since '61. So the Rangers got theirs last year at 40. One of those teams is going to have a chance to erase a long, many years of frustration. Robin Ventura fouls this one off from Dennis Martinez. It's 1-2. The Eastern Finals between the Devils and the Flyers, a very good matchup as well between the tight checking and the good defensive Brodeur of the Devils against the Flyers and that Legion of Doom, and the defense line that's done so much better than people thought. The defenseman big, and the Rangers sweep for the Flyers. 1-2 to Ventura, lays it off. Well, the other note on the I want to say something. One other note on the Devils. Then I'll let the hockey go. We are here doing a baseball game. The play McLean made, that overtime goal that he set up Broughton the other night. I mean, Broughton got the credit for the goal, but that was McLean, one of those classy old players, knows what to do for the Devils. That's going to be a very good series. Both of them here on ESPN. Count is 2-2 with 2 outs. Here in the top of the 5th inning, 5-0 White Sox over the Trail. Well, I don't get a chance to do hockey.
You're driving a stake in my heart because the Devils beat the Pens.
Yeah, the Pens just didn't have the defense, although Reggett, how many shots did he kick out the other night? 49, well,
yeah, he did one heck of a job, but just not quite good enough.
I thought the Penguins would get to the finals, but I obviously was mistaken. This is good. I get a chance to do hockey here during a baseball game, but you know, you have time to talk about everything. It's going to pull up a chair and Memorial Day anyway. At least in this part here, it's kind of overcast. Fans of all ages out of the ballpark. Not a great barbecue, David. I'm sure fans getting it done. Inside of Ventura, count is full.
Well, I imagine there are a few Barbies heated up.
Oh, doesn't matter if it's 40 degrees. You just go fire that thing up. And a view of the scoreboard and those kind of toothbrush lights that we have here at Jacobs Field. Ripped by Ventura, sends it back to right. Back goes Ramirez. Back. Gone! See, we don't lie here on ESPN. We told you the ball would fly out to right center field. Thomas has hit it there. Ventura has hit it there. Both balls have come back. But the White Sox lead at 6-0. And they don't care if you pelt them with baseballs at this point.
Right. A little out of character for Dennis Martinez. That's the 5th home run he has allowed this year. Only 3 coming into this game. So he's been pretty much on his game. And that is really a nice swing by Ventura. You see the way he stays back on the ball, and the pitch elevated just enough. And Ventura really leveled off on it. Sends it out of the ballpark.
Ventura is second RBI of the game. He is RBI single in the first. Robin, home run number 5. And a big fold for Wilson Alvarez to work with. He's been sitting a while, but he knows that he's got a cushion. Doesn't have to be that fine with the pitch.
Well, you know, when you're sitting on the bench in that situation, Chris, you see the ball hit, you go, yes.
Ground ball by Mike Devereaux, scooped up by Baerga to Murray, and he's gone. And not until the White Sox play long ball again and heading to the bottom of the 5th inning. Robin hit it down the Ventura Highway. as the White Sox lead the Indians 6-0 here at Jacobs Field on Memorial Day. There's a rib burn-off, as they call it here at Cleveland, a rib cooking and naturally a rib eating competition. And no, that's it's not Kruk. This guy had 43 ribs in 5 minutes. You know what? I haven't worked with you before.
Right over here.
I like to like to serve you. There it is. See, ribs.
Boy, they smell
here
good.
at Jacobs Field. You're gonna now if we don't hear from you for an inning or two, I'll know what happened. Here's a man who could probably fire down a few ribs. Dave Winfield. Winfield, Tommy, and Pena, they got their work cut out for him. They've been burning, they've been cooking that stuff here all weekend long. So again, we don't lie. The ball is carried to right center field, and there are people barbecuing. Ooh, the big Winfieldian cut. But it's a strike. The count is 1-1. Wilson Alvarez has allowed only 2 hits through 4 innings. The White Sox have scored. There's the picnic area. One of a couple here. There's one area you just picked it before the game and then you vacate. Winfield, a little flare to right field. It's a long run for Devereaux. Oh, he almost overruns it, makes the play. And you know who wants some of those ribs? John Saunders.
Yeah, can you get him on a flight as soon as possible? They might be able to be here by dinner. Just bring him back with you. Rockies in the cars. Vinny Castilla to left field. That one jumps out of there in a hurry. And it's a 2-0 lead for the Rockies over St. Louis. Back to your ribs, guys.
Is he a surprise for Colorado? Vinny Castilla is really cranking the ball this year.
You know, my mom told me never to speak with my mouth. I thought John was going to do about 5 minutes of highlights. I thought I could get that plate down. This is Jim Thome. Can you hear me? He walked and was stranded at third. And the Indians' best rally in the 3rd inning. When he walked, Pena followed with a single to open up the 3rd. But Alvarez then retired the next 3. And as a matter of fact, he has now retired since Thome's walk and Pena's single. He's retired 7 straight.
Certainly makes it a lot easier when you have runs to work with. You don't concern yourself about making mistakes, and Alvarez, for the most part, has not had that happen to him. And you're seeing pretty good stuff, Chris. The fastball seems to have the life to it, the breaking ball, and he's thrown a couple changeups that have kept the Indians off balance. Guys like Murray, you saw him hitting well off the front foot.
Winfield fool. Only got a good rip at that one, but just right underneath it. Count is 2-2. So
one of the things that Chicago certainly could use today would be a 7, 8, 9 inning game from Wilson Alvarez after they left Detroit yesterday and all the balls flying everywhere.
Did he make that catch, that young man?
He may have.
See, bring your glove to the park. It's just great to see the dads and the moms and the kids out here together. I just feel baseball's got a lot of work to do here in this next year or two, not necessarily here in Cleveland.
He's wrapping that one up.
Oh, yep. Put up your sleeve. Nothing up my sleeve. Thome, ground ball to second base. Oh, nice play by Durham to Thomas. Beautiful defense by the rookie second baseman, Ray Durham, who went after the ball like a bull.
Who would think that they have made the most errors in the American League? A good play always starts with a good jump on the ball, whether it be an infielder or an outfielder, and that's what happens here with Durham, showing his speed on the defensive side. Catch the ball, 1 step, flip and throw. Sounds easy. One of the flying Melendez.
Good play by Durham, and there's 2 out for Tony Pena. And of course had that interesting inning there in the 4th. Making a tag at the plate to keep the game at 3-0, then a pass ball out at 4-0, a wild pitch, 5-0. All of a sudden the game has changed.
Now in the past, Tony Pena would go up there and try to hit 2 home runs with 1 swing of the bat, but if you get into that state of mind right now, you're playing right into the pitcher's hands, whether it's Pena or anybody else off the Indian batting order. Just do what you normally do. You can't hit that proverbial 3-run homer with nobody on base. So just go about your business. Try to get things started up once again and peck away at Alvarez.
Pena, 37 years of age in his 15th major league season, and you could tell, and I can say this personally, you could tell in the minors that he was a bona fide big-time catcher. I had a chance to see him play in '79 when I was working in Waterbury, Connecticut, which had an Eastern League team there at the time, and Tony played for Buffalo, which was the Pirates' AA team at the time, and he was just head and shoulders better than anyone in the league. I mean, I saw the whole league then. He would snap guys out at second base, you know, throw them from the knees, and I think he had 34 home runs, if I'm not mistaken. He had a lot of home runs that year, and he hadn't approached that, but
No, you're right. He did.
he had a bit, right, in '79, I believe it was. You could just tell. He was very quickly on his way to the majors.
But at one time he was a third baseman, and that's why they made a catcher out of him, because of his throwing arm and too many errors at third base. They figured he was less dangerous defensively behind the plate, and of course became a very good catcher along the way.
Count is 3-1, bases clear, 2 outs, and the Indians trailing the White Sox 6-0. Pena through the hole to the left side, and Tony is 2 for 2. So the Indians getting some hits at the bottom of their order. Tony is perfect.
Well, Alvarez only giving up his third hit, fastball pretty much down the middle, and a 2-out base hit. That's the good news for Alvarez. If it leads off an inning, then it's a little bit easier for the Indians to start something. But with 2 outs, obviously a little more difficult, and you have a lefty-lefty situation right now. And Alvarez, the way he's rolling, you like his chances.
As you check out the scores from around the bigs, of course, John keeping us posted. Ventura pitching in on the grass for Lofton. There's 2 outs, because he just figured Lofton trying to get on any way he can at this point.
Outfield defense giving Lofton that right center gap. They're not expecting him to pull the ball with authority, at least in the air.
Base hit, but a tough hop. But Ozzie has it played, and Guillen shovels it to Durham, and that is that. So we played 5 here at Cleveland in the home club, wondering what's going on. Back at Jacobs Field, Chris Berman along with Jim Rooker and Dennis Martinez, and the Indians trail at 6-0, and a shot to right field by Ray Durham, and a nice running catch by Manny Ramirez. Well, we're just coming back, and we're swinging at the first pitches here, and Durham, who made a good play in the field, almost surprised that it went down the line, but Ramirez was ready. Dennis Martinez is 4-0, but obviously is in danger of losing for the first time this year. They've scored on him, Jim, in every inning but the second.
Well, he's made a couple of mistakes. Frank Thomas getting that pitch out over the plate that he hit out, and of course the pitch to Ventura, it was elevated a little bit. 2 home runs have really done the real damage here for the most part. The wild pitch, the pass ball in there, but shows you that on a given day, it's just one of those things for Dennis Martinez where things aren't working for him. A little bit of everything.
Ron Karkovice, the catcher, surprised everyone in the park, starting with third baseman Jim Thome by laying down a bunt. This one, he hits it a long way to left field. Albert Bell is going back. He'll play it off the bottom of the wall. Karkovice into second base, so he's bunted his way on, and he's doubled his way on. So the White Sox continuing to light up El Presidente. Let's go to our man of our regal man in the studio, John Saunders.
Now, I could only be a prime minister. You know all about that. Twins in the Brewers. Scott Erickson, scary moment here. Kevin Seitzer gets nailed over the top of his left ear. He would leave the game. They help him off. Derek May, though, with his 3-run shot, trying to help his squad back. 5-4 is the count now. That's Chris and Jim.
Right there, we get it from Parliament. John Saunders. Ozzie Guillen up, swinging at the first pitch to Eddie Murray. Murray will take it himself, tells Dennis to relax. Gives it back to the pitcher, but Karkovice over to third base now with 2 outs.
Center fielder number 1, Lance Johnson.
And that'll bring up the top of the order already for the 4th time. So Kruk wasn't wrong when he said, boy, you bat 6 or 7 times here. Here's the 6th inning, and Johnson is up for the 4th time today.
Now the White Sox, they put on a display yesterday in Detroit. Not so much today in terms of the long ball, but what was it, 12 yesterday overall between those two teams? And
record.
A couple a day.
21 extra base hits.
Yeah. So Dennis Martinez is doing a great job at holding them to 6 runs through 5 innings.
Here's Dennis short order Cook, left-hander, warming up in the bullpen. Giant, Phil, Dodger. Of course, member of the tribe. Actually, was it last year? Was it Cook? He was with Cleveland, and then was he not? I thought so. Yeah, he was with the White Sox last year. Last year's like a blur.
It's strange, yes. Paul Otzenmacher here was with the White Sox, and look at a couple of pitchers on other ball clubs. You look across the field and see some of your guys that you had last year that you wish they were still with you.
Well, Cook was here in '92 and '93. They went to Chicago like on a loner last year, and now is back with the tribe. Down to 3-1 to Lance Johnson. 2 outs. Karkovice at third. Little tapper, and this could be trouble. Took a weird bounce, actually. Went sideways, but Martinez stayed with it, fired to Murray, and Karkovice is stranded at third, heading to the bottom of the 6th. Jacobs Field, Chris Berman along with Jim Rooker, and Wilson Alvarez has handcuffed the team with the best batting average, most home runs of anyone in the majors. The Indians only 3 hits. The score is 6-0, and they start pounding the drums for a lineup that came from behind and won that 4-game series at Boston a week ago. They lose the first one on Thursday night. They came from behind in all the other 3 late innings in the 8th and 9th for all of them. What have you seen in Alvarez as far? I wouldn't say he's been overpowering, but what have you seen, Jim?
He's made pitches when he's had to. I mean, for the most part, he hasn't really pitched behind overall. He's gotten behind a few hitters, but I think what it shows is what Wilson Alvarez is capable of. This guy has a better than average fastball. He also uses a curve, slider, and change. We haven't seen too much of the slider, but a good variety of pitches. And on a given day, I mean, how many times do you hear this phrase, good pitching can stop good hitting? And I think that's the case today. He's just had some things go his way, and with, again, 6 runs to work with, it'll allow you a chance to make a mistake here and there. You become more aggressive. The strike zone gets a little bigger. So there's 2 or 3 things that go in your favor.
Vizquel, Baerga, and Bell. 2-3-4 for the Indians. Inside and up top. Count is 3-1. The Indian fans hoping for a little something to cheer about. They have not had much. They only had the first 2 guys on in the 3rd. That's been it. Taking all the way for a strike. It's 3-2. Vizquel is popped to 3rd. Sacrifice. So he's 0 for 1. Omar coming over a couple of years ago from Seattle in the trade for Felix the Cat Fermin. Hit to left field. Back goes Tim Raines. Back. Oh, he makes the catch against the wall. Omar Vizquel, who had went 333 straight at bats without a homer, then hit 3 last week. Almost had his 4th.
Well, Tim Raines measures this one, takes one quick look, then gets right to the wall and makes the play.
Vizquel has all of a sudden been eating his spinach. Needed one more forkful.
Well, I don't know if it's true about the ball this year. I have heard people talking about the liveliness of the baseball. I don't know if it's just that time of the year that they started in.
There's a lively ball hit by Carlos Baerga over the head of Ozzie Guillen. And the Indians have something going with a man on now with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. I don't know. I don't see the homers pouring out at the rate we had last year, right? Or a couple years ago. I mean, there was more talk of it last year.
I can't remember last year.
Last year is a bad dream. The whole thing was a bad dream. They had such a nice season going, too. Well, it'll cost them about 1.5 years or 2 years to undo it. They had better be very careful and very smart with the big picture. There are generations of youngsters that put baseball 4th, 5th, and 6th on their list. I'm not saying that out of malice. You and I love the game. You played it with your profession. I grew up like so many of our viewers loving it. I really fear for this game.
Well, Chris,
how about a commissioner in agreement? Just, you know, get out of the box. Can we have A and B, please?
Baseball had a problem before last year. It's just a shame that they hadn't recognized it or admitted it. And there is a serious problem now. I mean, it's even worse. And why these people that control the game won't sit down and act with a little common sense as opposed to what I think is stupidity, I just don't understand.
Those are your fans of the future you're looking at right there. We have these games that have been so night, postseason. We used to have double headers, heaven forbid. We used to go to games and watch 2 for the price of 1. It was great as a kid.
Well, I'll tell you, if people that control the game had employees in their other lines of work other than baseball that acted the way these people, they would have been fired, long gone. All right, let's bring in somebody else that really wants to get it done.
I think the players have come to realize it first as a group before the management side. Albert Bell will sky it. Durham will call off Frank Thomas. If you call him up, you want to make sure you get him out of the neighborhood before you make the play, which he did. There's 2 down.
Well, you just jokingly tell Frank Thomas, hey, move over, let the shirt man take it.
I don't mean to get into a soliloquy on it as Eddie Murray comes up, because here's a beautiful day. Well, not a beautiful day, but a nice enough day in a packed house and a team that's exciting against the team that's the defending champ. And well, there really isn't a defending champ in this division, of course, but they would have won it last year. I just hope we have an exciting summer of the games, and we talk about the games, and we watch the plays, and we watch the Greg Maddox's pitch, and we watch the hitters, Eddie Murray's hit, and we revel in what they can do. And people talk baseball a lot. And kids wake up every day wondering who won the night games.
Well, look at the division leaders. I doubt that at this point, if you would have gotten a panel together that would have said Colorado, Chicago, Philadelphia, California would be leading those 4 divisions.
Even Boston to some degree.
Yeah, Boston. Cleveland would have been probably a pretty good pick.
Well, that's good. I think that's good.
Great. I never thought I would be a Cleveland Indians fan. I mean, I grew up way out west, migrated east, and never had occasion other than playing against Cleveland when I was in Kansas City. But coming here, seeing this young ball club, new ballpark, the attitude here in this town, I think it's terrific.
Murray, as we pointed out the sign earlier in the game, 33 to go to 3,000, and everybody that comes to Jacobs Field knows exactly how many Eddie needs to reach that magical mark.
Eddie Murray, number 33. I'm sure at the moment he'd like to get off that number.
Right. Not the one on his back, but the one up on the board.
Right.
The sun, the sky is brightening here in Cleveland. Maybe that's an omen for the Tribe.
There you go.
33 hits to go. He has a sign all over the park, at the plate, left field. Stadium downtown here, and you see those the toothbrush type lights. They kind of emblematic of the smokestacks of the industrial downtown. They did it with the sight lines in mind to be consistent with the metal and everything, with the bridges and the buildings, and it really does fit in down here nicely. Restaurants popping up in the area, and a new basketball court for the Cavs across the way. Downtown Cleveland becoming vibrant again. And with this baseball team and the man that has 12 home runs, Manny Ramirez, coming to the plate. He, Mo Vaughn, and Matt Williams have 12, tied for the Major League lead.
Well, there is such a thing in baseball as a good walk, and there is also such a thing as a bad walk. And the way Manny Ramirez is swinging, this could be one of those bad walk times. Take your chances with Eddie Murray, and instead he's issued the free pass, and you have a guy up there right now that is just hammering the ball. Has not done that today, but when you go up there 0 for 2, sometimes the odds switch in your favor, especially if you're a good hitter.
Fouls this one back. Ramirez began the day at 400, leading the majors in batting.
Tied for the lead in home runs, second in RBIs, number 1 in total bases, number 1 in hits. Where's he batting in the lineup? Number 6 hitter. Not too shabby. Huh?
No. 0-1 pitch to Ramirez. Just down low and inside. This is he and Matty Williams also hitting 400. What a year Matt Williams has had. Continuing from where he left off last year when he led the majors in home runs. Andy Ramirez, new blood here in Cleveland and around baseball. Fans who just want to come out and watch him swing the bat. He's keeping it on his shoulders as Alvarez all of a sudden is working very carefully. Even though he has a 6-run lead, he's got 2 on with Baerga at second and Murray at first. Count is 2-1 to Ramirez with Dave Winfield on deck. Memorial Day to all of you watching us out there across the country and beyond. Ripped to left field, base hit. Baerga will come around third and he'll score. The shutout is gone. The Indians are on the board. 6-1.
Charlie Manuel talked about Ramirez making adjustments at the plate, looking at the hitting count and thinking more and maturing more as a hitter. He's ahead in the count. Now the pitch was a fastball. You look more for the heat, and sometimes it doesn't matter where the location is. That pitch was actually out of the strike zone, and Wilson Alvarez is pretty lucky that ball wasn't hit out of the ballpark. Ron Karkovice wanted the pitch down and more on the hands. That's somewhat wild just out of the strike zone. Talk about being wild in the strike zone at times. When you want a pitch on the outside corner, you might get one on the inside, but in this case, more down the middle, and fortunate that ball wasn't hit out of the yard.
Well, Alvarez, of course, remember, this is a team that only used, 5 pitchers yesterday and giving up 12 runs to the Tigers. Jose De Leon, who Gene Lamont told us would be the one that could go the most innings. He's now getting up to warm up in that bullpen, which has 3 mounds each, so you can warm up a lot of guys. But Lamont doesn't want to do that. Now with a 6-1 lead, now 2 on, they got to be very careful. This could become a ball game with Winfield at the plate, or you could remain in good shape if you're the White Sox if you get Dave.
Well, we mentioned going into this game, Dave Winfield with just 33 at bats. Paul Sorrento, who he will platoon with, has twice as many at bats, actually more than that. But that's the thing with Dave Winfield. Not as many at bats, maybe a little longer to get started, but he's seen Wilson Alvarez twice today. That may help in this at bat.
That looks small in Dave's hands, doesn't it?
It always has.
Ripped to left field. Did he get under it or did he get all of it? Back. His first home run as a Cleveland Indian, and the Tribe has erupted. It's 6-4. Welcome to Cleveland, Dave Winfield. They got him in a trade in August, but no one remembered it. They remember it now.
Doesn't waste any time. Come off the bench swinging. Not that he's on the bench today, but not a lot of at-bats. I think he knew it was gone. And hitting into somewhat of a cross-wind, Chris, still put a jolt into that one.
The fans want him to come out and take a call. That's not really his style. Home run number 464 a lifetime. His first as a Cleveland. Here he is. Come on, Dave. There he is. Well, we don't lie. All of a sudden, a 6-0 lead is a 6-4 ball game. And the Indians, who've come from behind with that power-packed lineup, now get some power from a source they haven't gotten it from yet this year. Dave, there's the smile. They brought him over because they really struggled against left-handers last year.
And you always want to feel that you belong, and it's not that Dave Winfield can't go somewhere and not have that feeling, but until you do something for the ball club, you really don't become part of it. So this is a way for him to chip in, and what a blast at the right time. This is a ball club that is really never out of it, and so many ball games are decided 6th, 7th inning on, and now the Indians have jumped right back into it.
Well, if you're just joining us, we've got ourselves a ball game. The White Sox had scored in almost every inning. One in the first, 2 in the third, and a 2-run homer by Thomas. 2 in the fourth, a homer by Ventura in the fifth, but 4 for the Indians here in the sixth. They're not done yet, as Jim Thome is up. This is ripped to center. It'll bounce in front of Lance Johnson, misplace it, but Thome will not try and take the extra base. And this lineup we've been hearing about and talking about with the best batting average all of a sudden. Single, walk, single, homer, single.
Well, how ironic could things become? We've seen Tony Pena involved in a couple of pitches, one pass ball, one wild pitch that really isn't his fault. Tony with a couple of hits today, also tagging a runner out at the plate, so he's had a busy day. And you know, guys that have been around thrive in situations like this and really welcome the challenge. On the other hand, Wilson Alvarez is trying to do all he can to get out of this mess and stop the bleeding.
Well, since 2 are out, a walk, 2 singles, and Winfield's home run. Pena 2 solid base hits to left thus far this afternoon.
Chris, you bring up an important thing. What looked like a harmless 2-out walk.
You said it at the time. That was a bad walk. Ozzie Guillen will throw it to Thomas, and the inning is over. But not until the Indians climb back into this thing. Everybody on their feet again for Dave Winfield. His first home run as a member of the Indians. The curtain call, 6-4 Chicago.
The Brewers in a 5-4 contest. The Twins with the lead. Pedro Munoz gets his 6th home run of the year with a runner aboard, and it's 7-4 now in the 6th inning. Back to Chris and Jim.
A home run in Milwaukee by Pedro Blue Munoz. Dennis Martinez not as blue after the 4 spot hung up by his teammates, but he is gone. So Dennis Martinez worked 6, gave up 6 runs and 9 hits. Cannot win it. Of course, certainly can lose it. But now the Indians are within striking distance, and the man that's been asked to keep it down for a while the bats get going some more is the left-hander Dennis Short Order Cook.
Well, they'd like to see him get a little bit of work. He hasn't pitched in a week, and I think his numbers reflect that, Chris.
15 hits, yeah, 9 and a third.
Pretty good fastball. He'll get that slider working, throws a curve and a splitter, so basically your standard pitches. And a little bit different look. Now Mike Hargrove, who starts a guy like Martinez everything from every angle. Now you come in with a left-hander. Turn around a couple of their switch hitters.
Raines, Frank Thomas, and John Kruk here in the 7th inning for the White Sox. Whose 6-run lead is down to 2. Cook began with the Giants. He went in a very important trade for San Francisco. And actually, Philly. Ripped by Raines, but this will be foul. In the middle of the '89 season, Cook, Terry Mulholland, and Charlie Hayes went to Philadelphia in exchange for Steve Bedrosian. That year, Bedrosian helped the Giants get in the World Series. He was the closer for Roger Craig. But certainly Mulholland grew into one of the starters that Jim Fregosi counted on when they went to the series in '93. So I mean, there's a trade again, like one we counted earlier, that immediate dividends for one, dividends down the line for another. It's a good trade for both. Cook was involved in that trade. He stayed at Philly for a couple of years, pitched for the Dodgers, pitched for Cleveland, pitched for the White Sox. Now he's back to Cleveland.
One of the things Mike Hargrove told us about his bullpen, and you wonder how long they're going to be as good as they are. And at this point, you watch them, you try not to overexpose them. And with guys like Martinez, Hershiser, others, you don't do that. You give the extra innings or work enough innings from your starter. But he feels that he has power arms or good arms in the bullpen that will overcome some of their mistakes, as opposed to pitchers that have to be a little more precise with their pitches and perhaps a little more susceptible to making mistakes. He's pretty comfortable with his bullpen.
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
not surprised. Really, Mike, are you surprised that your bullpen said no? I'm not giving you that as a pap answer. He said, no, I'm not. Now, Mesa being as good as he's been as a closer, no one was really sure. Count us 0-2 to range. And again, no one's sure 5 weeks into the season either, but certainly you can't argue with what he has done. He's been perfect in the save situation, but he, as you mentioned, the arms that he has, he likes his eight. Went on and on about Plunk.
Well, it all starts with your starters. And again, you get a couple of guys. There's Hershiser, and if they can get you into the 6th and 7th inning, and even though this has been not a, well, he didn't hold up, and they ring rings up.
Vic Voltaggio said, sit down. Timmy didn't like it. Let's look.
First baseman, number 3.
There's that breaking ball in range. I think he crossed the plate, but look at his hands. The hitter always looks at his hands after the bat has been drawn back, and that's the picture that's in their mind. If they really see the play, the whole play from above or from a, let's say, a low first, you will see that they do cross the plate probably 99% of the time. But in their mind, they're always looking at their hands after they've drawn the bat back.
A check swing from Frank Thomas that travels farther than most people can hit it. Strike one. Thomas, who hit a 2-run home run to right center field, is 7th of the year. Well, and look at where he stands. See, this part of the game, the back line of the batter's box is obliterated. You can't say he's out of the box. You can in the first inning, not now.
Well, if Tony Pena wanted to, he could bring it to the attention of the home plate umpire, and they would measure and probably move Thomas forward a little bit. But I guess he wants to look at the ball just a little bit longer.
Thomas's home run was his 8th. That's 7 going in. Count is 2-1 to Big Frank. Caught 3 passes as a freshman, as tight end. The Auburn football team. Bo Jackson was a running back as a senior. That's ancient history for Frank now, but you can imagine him as a tight end very easily.
Interesting scenario right now. 3-1.
Now that is not necessarily a bad walk, right? If you get back to what you were saying in the last inning.
In this situation, no, because 1 out, you're not forcing a man into scoring position, and you also have a lefty-lefty deal here with Cook and Kruk. And John Kruk,
Say that 5 times fast.
Can't do it.
Cook and Kruk.
But if you keep the ball, the breaking ball, moving away from Kruk and belt or lower, you should be successful. He may go out after a couple of them and foul them off, but that's pretty much the zone you want to try on him, or on occasion just come up and in just to keep him honest.
They were teammates in Philadelphia for a couple of years, so Kruk does have a clue of what Cook has.
The thing about Cook as well, he's not overpowering, even though he does have a pretty good fastball, and you don't have that tendency to give ground as much.
Ground ball past Murray, and Kruk is aboard. Thomas to second base. Yeah, Eddie got caught up trying to, in a foot race, not a foot race with, but when Frank Thomas is running just a couple of feet away from you, it kind of encumbers you a little bit.
Well, usually Eddie Murray, when he gets the ball, he will catch it, and this ball just goes right under his glove. You saw at the last moment, Murray started to put on the brakes. I don't know if he was trying to get set up, getting his feet set into position to just make the play at second base and get the lead man, but might call that a little bit of a short leg play because he did stop.
Mark Weiler, the pitching coach, out to talk with Dennis Cook as Robin Ventura is up, and just as soon as Cleveland gets in the game, Want to be careful, though, the White Sox don't bust back out to a big lead. Robin Ventura is up, who in his last at-bat homer.
Well, look where Pena is. They set up outside this ball more down the middle and just about let her high. That's one of those pitches, Chris, that it's a hit-me pitch. You throw it up there, and the hitter sees it so well because the ball is basically elevated. When it's lower, it's tougher to pick up. But when it's delivered right there, let her high, you pick it up so soon and see it so well. All you have to do is just try to make solid contact.
It's one of those baseballs that we have on the going, gone portions of our baseball tonight with screaming baseball.
That is a good one.
And that's about what that pitch was, too.
Exactly.
Robin is 2 for 3 today. Singled in the first to drive in a run. Grounded out to first base. And then homered to right center field. Thomas is 8th. Ventura is 5th. Winfield is 1st. That sounds funny, but
it does this point of the year. But what a time to hit it.
Yep. Seventh inning. Game moving right along at American League pace. Foul back by Ventura. You got 2 guys pitch it. There is a look at the youngster, Julian Tavares, 22-year-old from the Dominican Republic, who throws some heat. Might be a starter here one day. Maybe not one day, maybe one day soon this season, the way it works out. Jason Grimsley will start tomorrow for Mark Clark, who has been sent down, who's been shuffled off to Buffalo.
Clark coming off an 11-3 season, being a little bit too picky.
Count is 1-2 to Ventura. Oh, he rings him up on the inside corner, and Ventura will sit down. You got a couple of guys. Well, let's kick it over to John Saunders.
Hi, Chris. Thanks a lot. 1-0 game between the Padres and the Mets. Steve Finley at the plate, and he lifts this one deep out to right field. And just like that, the game is tied at 1 apiece. Number 3 on the year for Finley. Back to Chris and Jim.
All right, John. Steve Dorsal Finley with a home run there for the Padres. 2 strikeouts thus far this inning for Dennis Cook. He's also allowed a walk and a single, and he's also gone. But Tavares will come in as Mike Devereaux comes up with a couple of pail hose aboard. 6-4 White Sox. Ventura homered in the 5th, but struck out this time against Dennis Cook. He'll sit and watch Mike Devereaux try and pull it. Ventura, Cook, Devereaux, Albert Bell, some of the players who are in the major leagues who we got to know a little bit to the College World Series. And it begins here on ESPN at 3:30 on Friday from famed Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska. You talk about some folks that know how to put on a show. Those folks, I've never been, but everyone that has been at ESPN, we've had this event on since we've begun. All our guys that work this event come back and say what a great time they put on and how excited the folks out there are, and I'm sure this will be no exception. Mike Devereaux in an Arizona State outfield with Barry Bonds and O.B. Young again, McDowell. Devereaux will be waiting to bat against Julian Tavares, 22 years of age. He was 15-6 last year for Charleston, the minor.
Well, here's a fellow that has the above-average fastball. He throws a sinker about 92 miles an hour. Hard slider, and he'll throw a splitter at times and also a changeup. You mentioned the College World Series. I did have the opportunity to work that last year, Chris, and in the minor leagues, I played in Omaha for Kansas City, and what a transformation they have made at Omaha, the ballpark. It's just a beautiful ballpark. Now, great atmosphere. I've never had seen so many excited people. College baseball, what a showcase it's turned out to be.
Well, here's a guy that comes in with the 13 strikeouts and 16 2/3 and starts Devereaux up with a tantalizing breaking ball. Tavares, what do they sing? Only takes a minute, girl, to fall in love. Tavares, is that what they? Is that from the disco era there?
You're over my head on that one.
I'm below mine actually quoting disco songs. That's not really my style. outside. That one a little quicker. Misses. It's 1-1.
Well, if you're looking for a little help defensively, you don't have a lot of speed on the bases in terms of Thomas and Kruk at second and first. So the outfield might have a shot if Devereaux would get a base hit, but it would be an interesting
big situation here. The Indians have clawed back to within 2. They don't want to give it up. Good pitch again, off speed. The bottom fell out a little bit on it, and Devereaux is behind 1 and 2.
In the minor leagues, Taveras could overpower people, but the one thing that is obvious that he makes an adjust to, like every other pitcher that comes up to the big leagues, is hitting situations and pitch situations, depending on if you're ahead in the count, you're behind. Now ahead of Devereaux 1 and 2. At this point, I don't think Devereaux really knows what to look for. This is when you become a real guess hitter.
He guessed wrong. The bottom fell out of that one, and a 3-strikeout inning for the combined bullpen of the Indians. They kept it close. 7th inning stretch time here on Memorial Day coming up.
And the Cardinals' 5th inning. Geronimo Pena at the plate, and he slices this one out to left field. Trip Cromer comes around to score. The Rockies still with the lead, but it's now down to 3-2. The Padres and the Mets, we showed you the game-tying home run, and Eddie Williams gets a single here. Ken Caminiti comes in to score. Williams trying to go into second is out, but the lead is to the Padres. 2-1. Back to you.
All right, John, thank you. 7th inning stretch time here at Cleveland, and the fans of all ages getting excited. They saw their tribe score 4 in the bottom of the 6th, 3 on a home run by Dave Winfield. And now here they go again. Top of the order, Kenny Lofton, the only man that did not bat in the 6th inning for Cleveland. Lofton, Vizquel, Baerga. 4 runs on 4 hits after Alvarez had held them to no runs and 3 hits in the first 5 innings of the ball game. Lofton showed bunt everybody in. He hit the bat, and it's strike 1.
Ooh. Now the umpire at third base is saying no. I'm not quite sure what there's no debate there. Nope.
Yeah, would have hit the bat. So
that's what it looked like. Yeah. Well, no, it's ball 1. Home plate umpire is getting them to change the scoreboard. Apparently it didn't hit it, just getting the bat back in time.
Well, let's look at that first pitch, because I'm not sure that I understand this call.
No, it hit the glove.
Okay.
That's what misdirected the ball a little bit.
Good job by Dale Ford then, Art. Good job all the way around. He pulled it back.
Great camera.
With Jim McKean at the third base. Now quickly Alvarez is dropped in a strike on the outside corner, and it's 2-1. Lofton can't get the bunt down again, and now we'll have to swing away with Ventura about 60 feet away from the plate on that particular.
Well, you'd think with his speed, with Kenny Lofton's speed, that wasn't a real good effort. He just kind of poked or stabbed at the ball, and that really doesn't get much done. In this case, it evens the count out, and actually it gives Alvarez a little bit of an advantage.
Inside, Lofton held off. Did he go around? They're appealing to McKean again, but he didn't even give the sign. And the count is full. We'll do it again.
Mentioned it earlier in the game, but Mike Hargrove, as Lofton has struggled a little bit lately, one of the things that Hargrove has said that Lofton is hitting the ball in the air too often. And this is one of those times where you may want to try and think more line drive.
Here's a line drive, but unfortunately it's to the tallest man in the field, Frank Thomas. Rather than leap, he just stood there and snared it. And there's one out.
Well, your job, go up there and try to hit the ball hard, and whatever happens obviously will happen. And Lofton makes pretty good contact, but right at Frank Thomas.
So Omar Vizquel is up. He is 0 for 2 at a sacrifice. Wilson Alvarez has gone the route. Vizquel goes deep again to left field. Raines will play it off the wall. He plays it off smartly, but Vizquel is into second. Omar's last time up, remember, Raines made a leaping catch at the wall, and he measured Alvarez exactly the same way, and this time hit a little bit more of a line, and Raines couldn't get back there in time.
Got a little bit more on top of the ball. The last time up underneath and hit the high fly ball that Raines did catch, made a nice play on, but this one levels off on the pitch a little bit better and has himself a two-base hit. Ron Carcavice out with a quick meeting with Wilson Alvarez. Recall, we have seen Jose De Leon throwing in the White Sox bullpen, and here comes Gene Lamont. That might have been somewhat of a stalling tactic for Carcavice to give the bullpen a little more time. Now here's a guy, Gene Lamont. You've already mentioned, Chris, that was Jim Leland's third base coach. Quite a baseball mind, and of course you're around a guy like Jim Leland long enough, you're going to learn an awful lot about baseball. One of the best prepared managers I've seen.
De Leon is in. Lamont has given him the call. Alvarez is Cleveland. Are there ominous skies? Are they the portend of what's to come for the Indians, who have gotten back in this thing and knocked out the White Sox starter Wilson Alvarez? 6-0 lead is now 6-4. Alvarez pitching fine until the 6th. Pitched 93 pitches. Here are his lines. No strikeouts for Alvarez, and in to pitch is the veteran, and I do mean veteran of many stops and of great potential, and they always thought this was the year for Jose De Leon.
When this guy came up to the big leagues with the Pirates, he had Hall of Fame stuff, Chris, and he's such a big mystery in baseball. Hitters around the National League hated to face this guy.
Now facing him right now is Carlos Baerga as the tying run. Vizquel on second base with a one-out double. Albert Bell is on deck. Eddie Murray in the hole.
Well, Gene Lamont decides he'd rather see Baerga batting from the left side in this situation, but Baerga's been more dangerous from the left side.
That would have caught him napping. You don't expect Baerga to bunt in that situation down 2 runs.
Not with one out.
But that was for a base hit, obviously.
Well, they do need base runners, but in this situation, you are the tying run at the plate if you do crank one. Mentioned Baerga from the left side of the plate. He's hit 4 home runs, 1 from the right side. Granted, he has batted more from the left side of the plate, but again, that's Gene Lamont's choice.
Baerga rips one to the galley in right center field. Johnson over quickly. Von Vizquel around to score, and it's a 1-run game. White Sox lead is pared to 6-5.
You do get that sinking feeling if you're the White Sox. You have to remember, at one time, the Sox led 5-0. Out in front of the count, Baerga gets a fastball and just rifles it into right center.
Good-looking stroke by Baerga. And now he represents the tying run aboard, and Albert Bell represents the go-ahead run. I told you the Indians can strike from behind. They've done it often. They have done it again.
And the more you do it, Chris, the more confidence you know you can do it again. The momentum in this ball game from the 5th inning, or from the 1st to the 5th, was with the White Sox. Since the 6th, it's been the other way.
Ripped to left field over a leaping Ventura. Baerga around second and third. Raines will throw it to second. Bell is in with a double. Runners at second and third.
Never out of it. They're like a quick strike offense in football. And watch how Albert Bell slashes down on this ball. That ball just above the belt, middle end, and he just tomahawks that pitch down the left field line.
Now listen to the chant. You know who's up.
Well, I'm just wondering if 3 could be the big number in this inning.
Oh, pulled the chain on it, did De Leon, and Murray swung and missed.
One thing about Eddie Murray at this stage in his career, he will gear more for the fastball. because he can't afford to look for the breaking pitch and adjust to a good fastball. So I would say 80% of the time he is looking for that #1 pitch.
Off speed again to Murray, misses inside, 1-1.
And this is where you do him a little bit of a favor. If you throw the off speed over for a strike, that's one thing, but the more you throw it and miss the strike zone, the better idea that Murray has of what that pitch will do. So as each pitch has a profile, you see what it does and how it reacts. That's what a hitter picks up as early as possible, and then we'll try to attack the ball.
Inside, way inside, 2-1. So with 1 out, Vizquel double, Baerga single, Bell double, all of them blue darts. Ripped ball. Another rope.
Well, Ron Karkovice would go out and say, that's what I wanted, but that's not where I wanted it thrown.
But this man made a play. He hurt the other hand. He's going to go home with bandages and a ball. That's right. Gene Goodig's signature on it. President of the American. What about used to those muted Coleman balls? I don't, you know. Count us 2-2 to Eddie Murray. Off-speed chest got a piece of it. He'll stay alive. With Manny Ramirez on deck. Has had the success against De Leon.
And I would guess for the most part the reason for that is because De Leon has been behind in the count. Eddie Murray is a student of the game, a hitting professor, and he hits off the count.
As the rain starts to come all of a sudden, up the middle, but the Ozzie Guillen had him played perfectly to Thomas, but the Indians have tied the game. Baerga scores, and we are knotted up at 6.
Well, they'll give up the run for the out. And Gene Lamont is saying that I guess he has a little more confidence in his bullpen than Cleveland. But the Indians have been pitching better out of the bullpen than the White Sox have. And I think if you match up man for man, hitting-wise, you'd give the advantage to the Indians as well.
Manny Ramirez looks at a off-speed pitch which floated a little bit in the wet on De Leon, and it's ball 1. Go-ahead run now. Albert Bell 90 feet away at third base, moving up on that ground out by Murray. So 4 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, and a 6-0 White Sox lead is gone.
Oh.
There's a curveball that didn't even make it to the back of the batter's box.
He got us both on that one.
Hey, Ted, let's not underestimate the way Karkovice popped out. Remember, the go-ahead runs here at third base.
Yeah, well, this ball kind of squirts out of the hand, almost hits the bat. As Ramirez ducks beneath the pitch.
Speed again after his fastballs got ripped by Baerga and Bell. We're going all off speed as De Leon, but he's behind 3-0. Do you green light him as hot as he's going?
Yes. If it's there, hit it. But if it's not in your zone, you have to look in one area.
It was up high, so a 4-pitch walk to Ramirez. Runners at the corner. And the last time there were 2 aboard for Dave Winfield, he hit it into the left field seats. Winfield's first home run as a member of the Cleveland Indians came the last inning, if you're just joining us. Made a 6-1 game, 6-4. Runners at the corners, 2 outs. And again, off speed outside. DeLeon having trouble finding the plate. The rains have, well, they haven't stopped 100%. They have not stopped, but it's slowed down a tad. Well, we've seen some sun. We've seen some rain. We've seen ominous skies. Looks like it's clearing up now past the left field line.
And we've seen a pretty good ball game.
Yes, we have. Oh, by the way.
Yes. And by the way, Dave Winfield, I'm sure, has not seen much right-handed pitching this year. Getting a chance to look at De Leon.
Usually Sorrento, but once they start, I think they leave him in most situations, especially after he's hit a home run.
Well, you know his confidence is certainly a lot higher right now.
Ooh.
But that's the one pitch I think Winfield would have problems with if De Leon could get it over the plate. The first breaking ball he threw Winfield, Dave kind of flinched and backed off. He didn't pick it up real well. A little better the second time around, but now as De Leon falls behind in the count, he gets more in the danger zone. Winfield, I would guess that he's looking more for the fastball.
Ooh, hit the outside corner. Winfield didn't agree with Dale Ford behind the plate and will take a walk. Or at least out of the whole area of the plate to get his composure.
Well, what? Well, he did call it a strike.
2-2. 2 out, 2 on, 2 in. Full count. So now Ramirez will be gone on the pitch from first to second. Albert Bell, the runner at third. Indians had only 3 hits in the first 5 innings, but they amassed 4 in the 6th and 3 here in the 7th.
And it'd take a lot of guts to throw anything but a fastball in this situation, but that's what successful big league pitching is all about. An option that De Leon has. Look out.
Just missed us here in the booth. There's the catch right below. And we'll do it again at 3-2. Jim Thome on deck, but all eyes are on Dave Winfield. De Leon's pitch, swung on and missed. Got him with the high heater. And the Indians strand a pair, but they've scored a pair. Well, we have played 7 here on the holiday. And the scoreboard is the same. 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the White Sox. 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Indians. And the good action around the bigs, and there's some great action here. As fans bringing umbrellas, bringing no shirts, wearing hats, adorned all sorts of ways. And there's a lot of folks have run for cover or just gotten underneath. There's some interesting areas here. Dennis Martinez is now off the hook, and we begin anew. Tavares and De Leon, your pitchers of record, as we begin inning number 8. 7-8-9 for the White Sox. Ray Durham, Ron Karkovice, Ozzie Guillen. The batters for the White Sox, who have squandered a 6-0 lead. A 14-12 game yesterday. A 7-hour and 39-minute double dip Wednesday with Texas. This is just this is like a bee sting for them, this game.
Yeah, well, the White Sox know all about the comeback situation. They were down 7-1 yesterday before turning their thunder loose.
So they came from 6 back, and now they're having it done unto them. Durham will foul it off. I started to say a lot of the folks have vacated the seats, but there's a lot of places you go underneath, and in these new ballparks, in Cleveland in particular, you can go to the concession stands and see the action, and there are also TVs all over, but we really can see the action, both sides of the concession. You can go to the far side and be buying a hot dog and look right at the game down the right and the left field line. It's great. Got the kiddie areas here where the kids get a little bored. I mean, the toddlers. You can go down slides. rides. You can dine like this here and watch a ball game. What would the old timers say? Would they believe any of this? Well, we hope that we have become part of your Memorial Day tradition. Folks celebrating that with parades across the country. And as we said, if you weren't with us at the beginning, we want to thank all the veterans who, well, A, just thank them, period. B, for letting us be a part of your special day. We owe a great deal of gratitude to you through the years, and especially when we think about it this year, 50 years after the finish of World War II. And we thank you all. Glad we could come into your homes. Our action continues here on ESPN at 7:30 tonight. The Dodgers at the Phillies, the team with the best record in baseball. Durham ripped it. Eddie Murray gloved it. 1 out. Well, like I said, the Dodgers are at the Phillies this evening. Lenny Dykstra back in the lineup for the Phils after missing a few games. Raul Mondesi back in right field after that big trade. I think a good one for both the Dodgers and the Expos. Kelly being in center. Mondesi's a fabulous right fielder. Dodgers Phillies at 7:30 Eastern. That'll also be our Wednesday game at 7:30 Wednesday night. And following tonight's game, baseball tonight. So full of baseball here on the holiday on ESPN. Our hockey begins again on Thursday with the Western Conference Finals, round 1. Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Blackhawks and the Red Wings in an old-fashioned NHL battle. That'll be great. 7:30 on Thursday night. This is Ron Karkovice getting his first look at the youngster Julian Tavares, who impressed us, Jim, with the. Now he's throwing more of the heat, but he came in and was throwing the off-speed stuff, and I think that it really had Devereaux fooled at the end of the last
game. It really did. I don't think Devereaux knew or was quite sure what to look for, and you really have to like the way Tavares is throwing the ball. Not only his stuff, but his delivery. He really seems to be in control of his body. You see a lot of guys now. He's 6'2", which isn't huge, but good size for a pitcher. But his arm delivery, his arm speed, he seems so fluid, and the ball just jumps at you.
Count is 2-2 to Karkovice. Bases clear, 1 out, 8th inning, 6-6. We've seen 3 home runs by some guys with some pretty big names. Frank Thomas, a 2-run shot. Robin Ventura, a solo shot. Dave Winfield, a 3-run shot. Here's Big Dave, the DH, against the left-handed starter Alvarez. Here's Big Frank, run number 8, back in the 3rd inning. Seems like about 2 days ago. Swung on and missed by Karkovice. There's 2 down here in the White Sox 8.
This kid throws this breaking ball so hard, looks like a little bit of a slider, and the spin is so tight, you really don't get a look at it at first. You just don't see that rotation. So as hard as it's coming, you're thinking fastball. Then when you start to go after the ball, that's when it takes that little break, and you just can't reach it. Count 2-2. The strike zone expands a little bit, so you really chase a pitch you might not if the count were in your favor.
The number 9 hitter, Ozzie Guillen, 1 for 3. Ran it at first a couple of times, singled his first time up to left field. That was back in the 2nd inning. Looking ahead to the Cleveland 8th. 8-9-1, Tommy, Pena, and Lofty. Way ahead of that off-speed pitch. Boy, Tavares has really been impressive.
Ozzie fooled on this pitch. And Guillen, he's the type of hitter. The thing about Ozzie Guillen, I mean, he's a peppery little guy, great shortstop, but that is part of his problems. He will go after pitches at times where he becomes a little over-aggressive and chases the pitch out of the strike zone, well out of the strike zone, actually, when he was ahead in the count.
Just missed low and away. As far as just turned 22 last week. Like a week ago today. ago today. He was 22 years of age, born in Santiago, Dominican Republic. 15-6 in AAA last year at Charlotte. The year before, in '93 at Single A League, he was 11-5 at Kinston. Had him up for a cup of coffee for a little bit in '93 and just one game last year in '94. Where he was cuffed around pretty well, but then again, he's only 20, 21 years old at the time.
But the experience he got last year should help him, and bringing him along in the bullpen as they are. And it might not be long, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, that this fellow might be in the starting rotation.
He loses Guillen. The fourth batter he's faced, the first man that's reached. Ozzy's aboard for the second time today, and it'll bring up Major Lance Johnson.
Well, you might need a little reminder right now. Sometimes you get those first two outs. You think you might have a cruiser inning, and the next thing you know, that harmless little walk that we've already seen come back and hurt earlier in the game could happen again. So you really have to kind of reset your mind, get the concentration back, and that's where the catcher comes into play. After the walk, Tony Pena went halfway to the mound, a couple of words to his pitcher, so that might have been the discussion.
Johnson is 0 for 4, but has scored a run. Scored on that wild pitch in a bizarre fourth inning, reaching a fielder's choice. Did go around. It's one strike. The left-hander up in the Cleveland bullpen is Paul Orville Ossenmacher, the famous maker of popcorn. He's up there throwing. He's a valuable pitcher. Extremely tough on lefties.
The kind of stuff that Ossenmacher has, and being a left-hander with that, I'm surprised at how many ball clubs he has been bounced around.
I am too. Glad you said that. I was puzzled by that. Comes in, we'll give you his list.
Another fellow that was with the White Sox last year. Again, I'm sure at some point early in the year that he had looked around and said, I wish we had a couple of these guys back.
Hit pretty well to right field. Manny Ramirez first fooled on it, then moves back and makes the play. Lance Johnson hits it well, but is gone. So nothing doing for the White Sox in the eighth. The Tribe up next. Bottom of the eighth inning here at Jacobs Field in Cleveland. The White Sox led at 6-0. 4 in the sixth, 2 in the seventh by the Tribe, and that's where we stand. Guys kind of got the cheering out of them for a little bit here, although here they're drumming it up again. They so excited they got back in the game, then the rains came. It's a little quiet. Jim Thome, Tony Pena, Kenny Lofton facing Jose De Leon, who came on in relief with one out in the seventh inning for Wilson Alvarez and provided some relief. I guess that's the way to say it.
Kept him in the game.
Right. Of course, they had a lead at the time, but he inherited a runner at second base. And he was hit by, gave up a couple of hits in a row and a walk, but struck out Winfield with 2 on to end it. So a whole new inning for Jose De Leon.
Yeah, and we've touched on it a couple of times about the White Sox bullpen, Chris, and we've also mentioned that this is a 4-game series, so you know what this Cleveland lineup can do to a bullpen. I would say pretty important for Jose De Leon to try and give Gene Lamont as much as he can, as long as he can, try to get this game over with by not having to go to the bullpen more than, let's say, once, twice. Only one team in the American League has used their bullpen more than the White Sox, and that's the Angels. It's kind of strange that they lead their division, but White Sox #2 in making the call to the bullpen.
Ripped down the right field line. It's a fair ball, and it takes a weird hop in front of Devereaux, and it'll go for a double. Ball never did reach the corner, and the Indians' stick work just continues.
Pitch may be up a little bit, and watch Thome level off on this one. That ball right around the letters, and he kind of hooks the ball. Now we get a chance to see what it hit down there. Well, the railing, and then kicks out. Looks like it was 2 bases anyway, and you don't know if it maybe the good part about that is only 2 bases by the ball kicking out. Sometimes it gets in the corner, it could kick out beyond the outfielder and turns into a triple. So in this case, it's a 2-base hit. Now we'll have a pinch runner.
And that'll be the utility outfielder here, Wayne Kirby, brother of the running back Terry Kirby for the Miami Dolphins. Kirby will be the pinch runner, the go-ahead run now at second base for Toomey. Tony Pena, number 9 hitter. You say, well, we have a breather. Not the case. Pena 2 for 3.
Tony used to be very good at hitting the ball the other way, Chris, and not just the pitch away. He was pretty good at inside out. Well, they're going to take the bat and say, oh, they don't have to.
They don't have to. It's bounce past Karkovice and Kirby to third.
You try to do all you can. Pena's showing bunt, the breaking ball in the dirt, and we have seen De Leon has not had good command of that particular pitch. They decide to go with a breaking pitch anyway. A good fastball is more difficult to hit. In fact, in the earlier days, as hard as De Leon threw, you didn't feel very comfortable bunting off of him. Doesn't throw as hard as he used to, obviously, but a breaking ball and a lower percentage pitch. Now the White Sox have to bring the infield up.
Pena hits it to left field, but it will drift foul and into the seats.
You know, I think this is very ironic because when De Leon came up as a youngster, Tony Pena was his catcher. And there were some people that thought Tony, in a sense, mishandled Jose a little bit by the way he would use that forkball. When De Leon came up, he fell in love with that pitch, but he had such an explosive fastball, Chris, he didn't use it enough. And now they're facing each other, one trying to beat the other. And again, early in his career, when Jose came to the big leagues, it was Tony that really had an awful lot to do with his career. And I'm not saying he was a bad catcher or anything, but there were people that did second guess because here's a guy that had overpowering stuff. In fact, Dale Murphy told me one day, in those days, he would rather face Dwight Gooden, who was in his prime. He would rather face Gooden than De Leon because he knew what to look for, at least from Gooden. With De Leon, he had no clue what to look for. But the big problem was Jose just was not consistent with getting the ball over and staying in front of the hitters.
Count is 1-2. Pena drives it to right center field. This will run all the way to the wall. The Indians have the lead. Pena has an extra base hit. Tony Pena's double has scored Wayne Kirby, and the Indians, who trailed at 6-0, now lead it 7-6. Lamont on his way to the mound, and here's the swing. Pena has been on the ball today, Jim.
Well, when Sandy Alomar went down, I'm sure a lot of people went, uh-oh, we're going to be hurt, but Pena picks it up, gets some very big hits. There's Gene Lamont watching the action. I think that pretty much tells the story.
Well, it didn't take him long to start the walk, did it?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Pena used to be very good at hitting the ball the other way. With the runner at second, you think without him having to bunt, he may try to go the other way. The wild pitch takes him off the hook. But Tony, and again, when you use that term, smart hitting. He showed smart hitting there by not trying to pull De Leon. Takes the pitch the other way, rifles it to right center, and has the Indians on top, and now they're looking for some insurance.
So De Leon, who did not have it, is gone. Tim Fortuno, who was a 30-year-old rookie a couple of years ago with California. The left-hander comes in, throws pretty good gas, but the damage may have been done.
Well, the momentum factor. It's gone back and forth, and now the Indians with the lead, and we've already pretty much documented how they play in this ballpark and how much they dominate other ball clubs here. And when you get that feeling, you always seem to think that you can come back, and once you get the lead late in the ball game, then the party's over. So the Indians have their bullpen up once again.
That'll probably be Mesa.
Yep, let him come in and slam the lid on things.
Well, the Cleveland Indians, we told you how time and time again they have come from behind. Remember, they got 19 of the next 23 here at home. Well, they had the best record in the majors last year at home. They've only played 9 home games thus far, 6-3 at home, and 12-6 on the road. So it bodes well for what's coming, especially the way they start off this series, if they can shut it down.
Well, the White Sox know they have a tough road to hoe right now. They lose this game, they drop 8 games behind. And we've already documented again the fact that they've lost some pretty good players on their ball club from last year. And trying to come back against a class team. Remember one thing about the Indians. You know what we haven't seen today about this club that they do pretty well is run. They can beat you just about any way, and that's a sign of a good ball club. If they can out-hit you, out-pitch you, defense getting better, and very good speed. We haven't even seen the speed game today.
Here's a guy you're talking about with the speed. Kenny Lofton shows bunt, pulls it back, strike 1. Little note on Fortuno. He will go down in the history books as the man that gave up George Brett's 3,000th base hit. Now, you say, oh boy, he's bummed out. He doesn't know how to handle it. While Brett was all happy and in the moment and everything else, he picked him off at first base. So, I mean, that shows I wouldn't even have the guts to pick him off. You know, all right, you got the hit, enjoy yourself. He went over there and got George happy. I don't think George even made a move. I remember that. George went off laughing. If you wait till you're 30 years old to get to the bigs, you know, you don't owe anybody an apology for picking him off.
Oh, no.
Even a guy that has 3,000 hits. That's a Fortuno story. Kind of soon went to Kenny Lofton. Pena with the insurance run at second base. Potential insurance run. Inside to Lofton, 3-1. Omar Vizquel on deck. The Indians had just 3 hits through 5 innings. Then the 6-4 runs on 4 hits. The big blow, a 3-run homer by Winfield after an RBI single by Rodriguez. And the 7th by Erga with a single. A ground up by Murray tied it. Here's the bunt by Lofton, but Ventura was there. I know Kenny's got the speed, but Robin Ventura was waiting for it. Of course, does get the runner over to third base, where a sac fly can get very valuable insurance. A good bunt by Lofton with Ventura knowing what he was doing.
Exactly. Yeah, what you're trying to do, you force the third baseman to field the ball, even though you have a left-handed pitcher that if you don't bunt the ball right, the left-hander comes off the mound and you might have a play at third base. Pena really doesn't run that well, so it takes somewhat of a good execution there to get the job done, and bunting it hard enough, doing that. Now the White Sox again drawing the infield up. This makes hitting a little bit easier.
Here is the switch hitting Omar Vizquel, who has ripped the ball twice to left field, once off the wall for a double his last time up. Ended up scoring a run. And the time before that, Range made a leaping catch at the wall. There's the defense. Infield obviously pinched in.
One thing you don't see a lot of these days is the squeeze play. You have to be alert, make sure you don't get caught off guard, and keep everybody on the same page.
Would you do that with Pena? I mean, he doesn't run horribly.
Well, see, that's the deal. A sacrifice fly, if you don't hit the ball deep enough, then Tony is not an automatic to score. So you might take your chances the other way around. But again, the guessing game between the two managers.
Vizquel, not normally someone you would think would deliver a sac fly, except the way he's been swinging the bat the last week. 3 home runs, the double today. And this is all of a sudden...
almost hits another one out.
Yeah, he's hitting with the power of Cal Ripken short all of a sudden. Where did this come from? He had 7 lifetime homers coming in. He hit 3 this week. Strike on the outside corner. 1-1. Days of the year, for at least a Judy Collins afternoon. I really don't know clouds at all.
Now I know that one.
Sun, yes, of course you do.
I know that one.
I'm sorry to quote Tavares, and that was terrible. It's not my style at all. Well, you know, that will not happen again. We work again, only rock and roll for me.
Okay, we almost saw it. Tony Pena bluffed down the line, and I think what you see in this situation, you watch the coaches from the dugout, they look across and see if they can steal signs. Watch Karkovice. You'll see Pena come down the line, but Karkovice had already called the pitch out. So the White Sox are looking for it. It didn't happen. That doesn't mean it won't. Vizquel is in front of the count, though, 2-1, so advantage is on his side at the moment.
Not far enough for Pena to come home with. They just didn't quite squeeze it. Karkovice, yes, missed it by a little.
I remember a ball game. Chuck Tanner was managing the Pirates, and he had called a pitch out in this very situation. The play didn't develop. Called the pitch out again, and it did develop. They got the runner at third. It isn't too often that you see that, but Chuck just had to hunch. Once you throw a pitch out, sometimes it's not a bad idea to come back with it because
they figure that
on the other side, yeah.
Right. Well, no way to do it again. You can't
Exactly.
get 2 balls.
And it's just sometimes it's not knowing the signs or picking them up. It's a gut feeling.
Well, this is what you were talking about, not getting the ball out of the infield. Ventura will squeeze it. There are 2 out. Baerga coming up at first at the plate. John Saunders.
And we take you to the Rockies-Cardinals game in the 7th inning. Brian Jordan at the plate and sends this one out to right field. Darnell Coles comes in to score to make it 4-3. Geronimo Pena had a sac fly to tie the game, but John Vanderwall comes back with his single to score Andres Galarraga, and the Rockies retake the lead 5-4. Back to Chris and Jim.
All right, John, now here's your rock and roll. John, all in all, it's just another brick in the Vanderwall with the big hit. Don't get to use it that often, but always trot out Pink Floyd when we can. Carlos Baerga was 0 for 2 in kind of a ho-hum day, but ripped a single and scored in the 6th on Ramirez base hit, and then drove in the 5th Indians run with a single, then later came around to score on the Eddie Murray ground out to tie the game.
Well, the value of having a switch hitter in this situation has batted right-handed 3 times, left-handed once, now back to the right side.
Up top and outside, count is 1-1. If you're looking ahead to the White Sox 9th, Tim Raines, Frank Thomas, John Kruk. That's who they would like up. Of course, they didn't expect them up in a catch-up mode, but at least if you're going to play catch-up, the big hurt is your second hitter. So please don't turn the dial, not now. Just a little to the side of us and below the White Sox radio booth with John Rooney and our good friend Ed Farmer. Everybody broadcasting this, the Hawk, Shark. Of course, the score wouldn't be coming to Cleveland without seeing Herb.
What a guy he is.
What a pitcher he was. He could have been. Gets under it, does Baerga. So does Tim Raines. And the Indians strand an insurance run at third, but Tony Pena's double has given the Indians the 7-6 lead. Jose Mesa trying to shut the door in the White Sox 9th. Say sellout crowd 41,736 is what's listed. That's 100 or 2 lower than the record, but it was advertised as sellout, and the kids having a good time. It's getting on 3 hours and 15 minutes, but the home club is ahead. And Jose Mesa, the fireballer, who has clocked 3 straight pitches in his second to last outing at 98 miles an hour. He's been 8 for 8 for saves, although he made him sweat a little bit yesterday before nailing it down at Toronto. Mesa will try and nail it down, Jim.
Yeah, and very quickly with Mesa, the words on him, all he has to do is get it over. That's how good a stuff this guy has, or what kind of stuff he has. And we'd seen one pitcher already who had allowed a 3,000th hit. Well, Mesa gave up Robin Yount's 3,000th hit in 1992, so he's joining the parade.
What's the rush? Oh, they got it in the bag now. You see, now they're used to this winning tradition here in Cleveland the last 2 seasons, and they're like gone. Oh, no problem. It's Mesa. It's a lock. While Raines, Thomas, and Kruk hold the phone.
Well, let's see how important it is now to get Tim Raines out in front of Frank Thomas.
You mentioned it twice. He got on. Timmy got aboard in the first inning on a bunt single. Scored on Ventura's single. Led off the third with a single. Scored on Thomas's 8th home run. And popped the second and walked. But one pitch, one out
There you
for
go.
Jose Mesa. It didn't take long for the 28-year-old Dominican Republican to get the first out here in the 9th inning.
Mark of a good reliever other than having stuff, which is obvious, coming in and throwing strikes. Mesa has walked 5 in his 15 innings, but he has struck out 13. So in 15 innings, 13 strikeouts, he takes the ball out of play quite frequently and blows that one pretty much by Frank Thomas. This is where you have to turn it up a notch if you're a hitter.
Oh, 1 pitch to Thomas, snaps him up a little bit high. 1-1. Now back by Thomas. Kind of a semi-check swing, and the crowd can sense it. It's 1-2.
Might be a little difficult to pick up the ball, even though it has been an overcast day. I think you may be adjusted to the sun or non-sun here, but this guy throws quite a bit harder than what Frank Thomas has been looking at so far today. Yes.
Rung up Frank Thomas. 2 up, 2 down in the White Sox ninth.
Chris, when you're that big and that strong as a hitter facing a fireballer like Mesa, you have a tendency to get your bat started a little too quick. And that's what Thomas does. He starts the bat, and even as strong as he is, couldn't stop from going around.
That auto racing coming up next. We're going to scoot if and when it ends. Here's Trucker, ground ball fielded by Mesa, and the Cleveland Indians spot the White Sox a 6-0 lead and win it 7-6. Impressive, aren't they, Jim?
Very, and making a statement. The White Sox have really been deflated today, and they know how important the rest of this series becomes.
Dodgers and Phillies at 7:30 tonight. Lime Rock Grand Prix from the northeast corner of our state, Connecticut, coming up next. For Jim Rooker, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching here in Cleveland. We saw Dandy, the Cleveland Indians, the team with the best record in the American League, continue. Dave